They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You play any and every position. From coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh, my goodness. Let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself.
You got to earn your liberation.
All right. Once I get this cover off the screen, we can get started. Once I
don't know why your face is on there twice and me and Geechee are only on there once. We're just as much a part of this as you are.
I'm going out on my own. I'm stunting.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
what
I
I'm
guess
doing?
you did. You know,
That's messed up.
have a
Now,
a
man,
week,
I
I guess.
told you I've been waiting for this all week, man. I heard your show, man, and you said I look like Tom Joyner. I'm offended.
No, I did not say
It's
you look like Tom. No, that's not the whole statement.
That's not the whole statement. I said, Diallo chose violence. I said, what I do to this man? What I do to this man? All
No, I was
beige look
saying,
alike.
I was thinking to myself, maybe Black Power Media could use that resemblance, being that he's a media icon. Somehow we could capitalize off of that. That's
It's
all.
shameful.
What? You're the media. I'm just saying. I was suggesting. I'm always thinking on how to big things up, how to advance the brand. But y'all don't want to do it. Y'all don't want to make the sacrifices. Black people too stupid, like Kevin Hart said, to maximize our potential. I guess he's Kevin Heartless now.
Shameful. Anyway,
Where are we?
Oh, so my mic is not working. Hold on. You all
I
hold
can hear
on. I'll
you.
be right back. I know, but it's not on right, I don't think. Hold on. I'll be right back. You all go ahead and get it started. I'll be right back.
Oh, is he gone? Oh, he's still there. I can't say what. Yeah, I just say I didn't even mention Tom Joyner. Somebody else was mentioning boat trips, and I was suggesting boat trips, and I was like, Tom Joyner's been around for a long time, and he's a great media icon, and I'm like, we have our own Tom Joyner, and I said a dollar store Tom. Oh, sorry. All right,
Does that work? Does that make a difference?
So I think I'm still delayed. Can you hear me well?
I heard you both times. I hear everybody.
I wonder. It seems like every time Jared on, I just get delayed or something. I don't work when Jared here. I think Jared thought Jared is throttling my internet.
Pause.
No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to make sure that my mic is on and working, and I think it is now. But is that what throws Geechee off?
Is he back or no?
I hear
You don't
it.
see me?
I hear you fine, Jared.
Yeah. Jared has feedback and Geechee is stuttering. Where's my feedback?
You can hear Jared now, is what you're saying, because I don't hear anything. I see him.
I hear Jared. I hear you. Y'all coming through loud and crispy.
Well, when I check the feed, my sound works and everything works good. So what's wrong? Geechee is way behind, but Geechee is way behind in the stream.
He needs to put his locks up. His antenna are all down. I don't know why his locks are so limp this morning. They're usually up in all directions.
What the fuck is going
The
on?
reason he doesn't hear me is because he's not live.
Mike
Somehow
is
he's
good.
not live.
Some people saying Mike is good.
See, he's still responding to something like he's way behind.
So you can see and hear Jared right now.
See,
Yes.
he's way behind.
Put up his thirst trap picture again.
Who, Jared or mine?
Yours.
Why? Because I'm not.
Oh, I
looking?
saw Jared's thirst trap picture. Y'all both got thirst. I'm gonna have to give me a thirst trap
What
image.
thirst? Oh, the Tom Joyner picture. That's my thirst trap
No,
picture.
no, that profile image you looking slightly.
Oh, that's the picture my
slightly
daughter
down.
took when we were at
I
dinner
saw-
years ago.
I
And
saw that. I can't even do it. How you do that?
you got to get your child to
How you-
take a picture. I didn't, but it's the only picture I have, so it's the only
Yeah,
one that.
yeah. Okay, y'all just out here setting traps. That's cool. That's cool.
Just call me the
Leaving
trap
me
setter.
something else y'all left me out of.
Just
I don't know how you did. You were like, hit it. She was like, do it, daddy.
oh boy.
What? Don't make me pull it up. But all I'm saying, but let's get back to the topic. All I'm saying is
So
sometimes
somebody's saying I should log. Somebody's saying I should log off and come back.
I'm saying you should put your
some
thirst
people
trap
say-
picture. The video maybe too much.
BT is delayed and stutters. Diallo is a fool. I mean,
so somebody.
I can't tell comments though.
Put your locks up, Geechee. Wrap them up, twirl them.
Geechee should refresh if there's. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log out too, and I'm gonna get off incognito because StreamYard said I should be on incognito, but I'm gonna get on the regular one, the regular.
Who you hiding from this week?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Which one
That's
of
what
these
StreamYard
females
told me to do.
got him
Anyway, here we
in the
go.
bunker this week?
I'm
Disgruntled.
gonna be right back.
Girlfriend's got him in the bunker this week.
Get off of it.
I also wish we could get Geechee in a better sound too, because that
Geechee's in a safe room.
The hall is so loud, it just doesn't.
He's in a safe room this week. You know, ain't no telling what Geechee does between Fridays. He's an international man of mystery. I just hope you don't get caught up in the whirlwind.
You see and hear me all right, and is my mic crackling as you hear it?
No, nothing. It's all good. All gravy.
All right, that's what. Okay. Anyway, so what's going on with you, my man? What's the latest? What anything you want to get us started on?
I went to a Pearl Cleage play last night.
Oh yeah.
Her new one-act play.
Oh yeah, how was that?
She's an amazing writer. You know, I'm a straight up street nigga. I don't know about that shit, but you know, my wife took me to this Pearl Cleage, Pointing at the Moon. I mean, just amazing theater.
Pointing at the Moon.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of.
I don't think
it was kind of like an ode to the old, like, yeah, Pearl Cleage. She wrote the Pointing at the Moon. It was a one-act play at the Goodman Theater. I mean, the actresses brought it alive. Like one of the characters was the daughter of I can't remember her name. She played the daughter of one of these actresses, and they just really got into the role. And it was just it was a one act, 2-woman play, and these two sisters got up there and tore it up.
Says it's pronounced Clegg.
Clegg.
It's Wikipedia says Clegg, but I just had my own issues with Wikipedia, so I don't. How much was it? Well,
me.
That's what the question
How much was
is
the
asking.
play?
Yeah.
Oh, it's free. Y'all know I'm frugal swag. You know, if I'm in the building, it was free. You had to go on and like reserve a ticket because it's like in early development, pre-production or whatever. So it was free, but you had to go on and reserve the tickets. It was limited seating. But it was powerful, you know.
Okay, so Geechee, you're in a room with other people, so can you mute yourself? Because we're hearing somebody else, and maybe I don't know if you're even hearing me live.
What do you say?
Does he? I don't
I
think
don't
he
think
hears
he
me.
put up the
Geechee, do you
thirst
hear
trap
me?
picture.
He doesn't even hear me. You do hear me? But when do you
Why
hear
ain't he
me?
talking?
I don't know. Why aren't you talking? What's going on? Because he
I
doesn't hear
told you
us
he's in a
live.
safe room, and they didn't breach his safe room.
I don't know why are you
Geechee, whatever lifestyle he's living, come back to Christ, Geechee. Because he be in all these, one day he's sipping coconut, the next day he's in a fort with metal walls. Whatever he's out there doing, it ain't worth it, Geechee.
I feel bad for him. I would
I ain't wanting to
be livid.
start rumors.
Where do you not want to start rumors? Oh, my goodness.
Why not just shoot the show with the thirst trap image? It's worked the
I
last
agree.
couple of weeks.
I don't know. He's not. Are you in the studio, Geechee? I don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah.
So, well, let's
get it started.
Yeah, let's get started. Where do you got anywhere you want to get started? I know where I'd like to get started.
Okay, then
I want to show
it's your
something.
birthday.
Well, that's where I want to start. I want to start with the birthday gift I got, and I wasn't even there because I messed around and was trying to do be a positive contribution to the labor struggle. And so I in a rare occasion I missed. So first I need to preface this. I don't miss my daughter's events very often, and I will refuse basically everything. But this thing I was scheduled last night to be part of a discussion at Red Emma's bookstore in Baltimore about the the effort to collectively bargain for faculty and grad student workers. And my first time at this new location for Red Emma's, which was interesting. And maybe we can come back and talk a little bit about last night. That was, but while I was there, in a rare occasion, I missed what was my ultimate best birthday gift last night. So I'm going to share this with you here. I don't know. I hope you all can see what's happening here. I know. Look at that. Look at that. That's I don't know. I know you're not a ball chasing fan, but I don't know if people appreciate this is an upper 90 free kick taken by my upper 90 degree corner. This is the upper corner. My daughter, fresh off of a hat trick she scored 2 nights ago. That goal is sweet right there. So
is she dedicated to you, or are you just trying to steal credit for it?
Oh no, this is all. So first of all, that was done off my coaching because so she had been told
still credit. All right.
I'm taking it. No, I take the
I take it. I'm sorry, that's the word. Take credit.
I'm taking credit because previously she had been taking free kicks and rushing through her process. So the kicks weren't the quality that I know that. So I told her after the last game, even if necessary, because sometimes her coach tells her to hurry up before the team sets or whatever. And I'm always saying, no. Take your time, take your breath, get your sights together, get your steps, map it out. You don't need to rush. And she did it. She did that last night, and you see what happened.
Yeah,
so,
I'm impressed. I mean, I don't even know what I was looking at, but I know it was something good by the reaction of the other players.
That's it. That's all you need to know. Thank you, Rod.
Do you call it soccer or football? What do you call it?
I usually call it football.
Okay.
Yeah. But
when you're speaking to us low class,
right? I gotta sometimes, talking to us,
folks who ain't never been nowhere. You say soccer just so you don't lose us.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
yeah,
otherwise,
I know.
I gotta.
Willing to
Look,
diminish
Jay-Z said
yourself
he
so
had to
that we
dumb it
can keep
down
up.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I got to
Okay.
Jay-Z myself to get down to your levels.
Right.
You know, so I don't
All
want to
right.
do numbers like the Roots.
And we appreciate it. Well, congratulations. I'm glad. Did they win the game?
Yes, and she had 2
Oh,
assists in addition to that. So
all
uh
right.
Cordaro Davis, thank you. Good morning from LA. What's up, LA? I appreciate you gentlemen for the work. Dr. Ball, the MOBP definitely inspired my continued studies as I embark my education doctoral program at Pepperdine University. Good luck, future Dr. Davis. And thank you
Nerd.
for the super chat. She said nerd.
No,
Stop
did I
saying
say that?
that's
I'm sorry.
that's messed up. Dr.
I
Davis,
just,
future Dr. Davis, don't listen to these Diallos out here. Thank you for the super chat.
nerds are cool now.
Mm.
Not when I was in high school in the 90s. Now nerds are
Soccer is
taking over the
actually the
goddamn
original
world.
name from Scotland. That doesn't even make sense. I'm gonna have
There
to,
you go.
I need proof.
So I'm the sophisticated. I'm the cultured one.
I need proof.
I'm the
of that.
cultured. I'm the one sipping organic green tea while you drinking black coffee.
I am.
Soccer is the appropriate international term, the etymology. So I'm. You thought you was somebody calling it football. No, I'm the true international.
So before we get to anything, I don't know if you happen to see it, that would have been great. It was too late for me to watch it and try to talk about it for today, but I am interested in what I saw happening on Twitter with the Brianna Joy Gray apparently had Norman Finkelstein back on to talk about Ibram Kendi.
Ibram the scammer.
And even if he's
Out of
right,
my Afrocentric home. I'm sorry. Go on.
No. What I found is my conflict is that even if Finkelstein is right in his critique of Ibram Kendi, I didn't feel like Finkelstein himself had engaged Black thought well enough to properly assess the situation, and was cherry picking the low hanging fruit of Ibram Kendi. And if you want to engage real Black radical thought, engage it. No, I haven't seen that one either. No, wait, I did. Wait. I did see some of that. I'm sorry. I did see some of that with Rania Khaled. And now I'm just drawing a blank though. But I know I looked at it. But what yeah, I was very disappointed, and even in the part that I don't know if they talked about it in her interview with Finkelstein, but even the part in the book that I brought up with him that was really disturbing was where he defended his critique of Edward Said, who is no longer here at this point, obviously, to engage this. And I don't remember Finkelstein ever talking about Said in this way. I don't remember him ever, while Said was here or in all the years I was following Finkelstein's work on the so-called Middle East, I don't recall Finkelstein ever talking about this issue with Said over who has the authoritative voice in writing and advocating on behalf of the Palestinians. And Finkelstein was and so that the little piece that Finkelstein tracks in his latest book, where he talks with Said, he recounts this discussion with Said, saying that Said had criticized him for saying, why aren't you using more Palestinian voices in your condemnation of Israel? And Finkelstein was saying, well, it's not a matter of using the Palestinian voice, it's about using the best, most authoritative voice in advocating the point. And wouldn't it be good to hear Israeli critiques of Israel defend? And he didn't appreciate Said's analysis, and then tells us that Said later in life on his deathbed basically comes back to agree with Finkelstein. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. That sounds kind of convenient. I would have never thought of him as a liberal Zionist either, but I think I don't know. I think the argument would be that if I'm not misrepresenting Ricky's point, but I would think the argument would be that because he doesn't condemn the existence of Israel proper, that he's saying that if Israel has the right to exist in one form or another, that it's supporting the Zionist project. I don't know if I'm right in that. I might struggle with that part, but either way, not enough to defend it or argue. Geechee said he's
he
back online
supports
with
the
customer
two-state
service.
solution. Word. Erica said he supports the
Oh
two-state solution.
Yeah.
Did he say that?
I don't honestly. I don't remember that. I should know because
I never heard. I guess, man.
but I don't
That's
remember.
your boy.
That,
Ask him this afternoon over golf. And get back to us.
I'll make a note
as y'all discuss football.
As we discuss football and sip champagne
right
on our golf carts.
From the hallowed halls of academia. At the, when you retire to the ivory tower for biscuits and cookies, ask him if he, because I just don't,
But so anyway, but so that part, but even when, but I will say I don't watch. I wouldn't say I watch often, but when I watch Brianna's show, even if I'm not in agreement, I actually do think she does a good job with these interviews, and so I might go back and look at that. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you very much for the belated birthday wishes and the super chat. So,
Well, I don't know. I was never a big fan of the whole anti-racist institute and shit like that. And we've been doing that shit, the Dr. King Institute for Nonviolence. A lot of these institutes be way off, So,
but reading the articles, I've read a couple of them now, and the theme of let me say it this way: the theme of we have a bunch of funding, but people are being hired and put in sort of being kept in the starter blocks. They're not being empowered or given any room to breathe. There's no budget that's actually deployed to do anything. There's no research. That sounds very HBCU to me. I know he's up at this elite Boston University, but that sounded,
wow. The HBCUs are nothing more than these white institutions in blackface.
That's right. I said, wow. And the thing that I heard, and I can't put any details on this, this is just something coming in on my Not a Different World HBCU project. But this one that I just heard of another story, the backdrop behind this Office Minutes series that I'm going to start doing is disturbing. That you have what would for us be huge amounts of resources that you're supposed to spend by a deadline so that you can apply for more. And instead of spending it properly, there's using it to pay out little slush fund payments to little favored faculty to do their little thing and keep things quiet. There was attempts at fraudulently coming back to belatedly fill in what they were said to have spent the money on so they could claim they spent it properly on projects that were not real, so they could then apply it. And at the end of the day, the faculty who are actually trying to do good work are stifled and demoralized and denied access to the funding, and then hundreds of thousands of dollars just disappear.
I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been a part of group. I don't even know if I should be saying the names of these moneyed organizations, but I've been a part of that and seen it in my own eyes. When I was in, and it ain't just the Black organizations. I've worked under B'nai B'rith, when they were funding the Stop the Violence Coalition that I was with, and the Kellogg Foundation. All these groups, they fund dysfunction. They fund dysfunction. And if you start to succeed and you start to make ground, they upend your shit. They'll pull the rug out.
I think I was just still naive
by
to think,
design.
But it was just the part for me was that this willingness to walk away from hundreds of thousands of dollars, to not even use it in preference of scuttling a project. They would
Let me tell you
prefer to
something.
just do nothing than actually spend the money.
Let me tell you something that I've had this conversation more than once in the streets. Menticide. There are Negroes that would prefer to own 100% of nothing than to have to share something of substance. They rather have 100% of nothing than 10 or 5% of something. Because that 100% of nothing allows them to peacock around. And a lot of times that peacocking is the reward unto itself. So I say that a lot of times my wife and I would be out here involved in something or other and just see people from the inside undermining and hollowing out their own shit. And we always say, well, menticidal Negroes, they prefer to have 100% of nothing than to truly share or redistribute any type of resources. I've seen
Yeah.
it happen many a times.
So that's where I liked and appreciated the work of Finkelstein, because when he talked about the B'nai B'rith Society and its university equivalent and them being an extension of the ADL and having very
Mhm.
right-wing conservative, that to me was of great value. It's when he started to this recent turn to address himself to the neoliberal black elite scholars is
I think it's
confused.
hair. I mean, people put a battery in his back because,
Mm,
everyone was so happy to have
mm,
a anti-Zionist Jewish scholar that get out
mm.
here and talk about the atrocities, and you know, that's what he got out his lane. He
And
got
then
out his lane. I remember I was up for a B'nai B'rith award, and they invited me to this fancy ass luncheon, and I brought my grandmother, and she dressed up in her nice gown, and I was there in a sport coat and tie, and then they let me get up and give some words before they gave me the award. And when I got off stage, they pushed me out the back door for my
oh
own
wow.
luncheon, of my own goddamn luncheon, and didn't give me shit. I didn't get the check. I didn't get the plaque. Nothing.
But speaking of you, I saw Coco. What's up, Coco? I saw Coco was acknowledging that Diallo was in the streets, but Diallo, we need to get the update from uh didn't you say you went and checked this out? Weren't you going to go see this show? Did you go
No,
see
I
the
wasn't going
show?
to go see that show. First of
Oh,
all, man, I'm boycotting white rappers. Until Fishbone, until Fishbone, until Living Color, until Death, until Bad Brains, until all the white rock and metal artists get their just due from the rock and roll genre that they stole from us, until every black artist in every other genre gets their just due. And so that's what I was just trying to find a reason, and I got a good one to hate on white rappers. So I ain't going to see. I wish I would go put some money up for a white rapper. Not until Fishbone gets up there with the goddamn Guns and Roses and them other racist fucking guitar white boys.
speaking,
Huh?
I'll be
What?
seeing Fishbone in early November. Got my balcony
Yeah, I'll go
seats.
pay to see them. So yeah, when when
Mm.
when black rockers get as much recognition and prominence within rock and metal as
Did you
white
ever see
rappers
the
have gotten in hip hop.
Did you ever see the documentary Electric Purgatory? I would recommend that to everybody. It's about black rock and roll. And the filmmaker, it was made some years ago. The filmmaker concludes by with a critique of Prince, actually, that I that resonated with me. I have to say, may his memory be forever commemorated. But that saying that he and Lenny Kravitz and maybe one other needed to get together and put together a tour for black rock and roll and to remind people and to put on some of the artists that were being ignored by the tradition you are outlining,
Yeah,
and to be
so
reminded in that documentary of the history of black rock and roll, or the I should say the history that rock and roll is black,
right.
was really
So
important.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
Electric
we
Purgatory is
letting
the
them
name of it.
steal
Yeah.
another art form before we even reclaim another one.
How about that?
Like I said, I'm boycotting white rappers, so I don't
So
know
someone
how that would
contacted
work
me.
if I went to a Run the Jewels concert and I could only listen to half the verses or half the set. That's not gonna work for me.
So that's
So
what
kill 'em.
you should. That's what we need to do when Run the Jewels comes around next time. We're gonna do a protest. We're gonna show up we're gonna have an EYL protest. We're gonna show up in the audience, and every time old boy is rapping, we're gonna turn
Stick
our
our fingers.
backs.
Oh, okay, turn our
And
backs.
then we'll turn around when Mike is rapping. So
Yeah,
he,
I'm boycotting white rappers.
but I
So,
got.
and I listen. I ain't got nothing against
Does Logic
LP.
count? Now hold up. We're not going to erase Logic's blackness. We're not going to erase the just because some of us out here passing now doesn't mean we're going to start getting our blackness erased. Logic acknowledged his black parent. So by the rules of Dr. Umar Johnson, he is allowed to be accepted into the black community. Dr. Umar has said, if we who are mixed accept our black identity, we can be invited to the cookout. So I'm going by Dr. Umar rules. Y'all could go by Robert's rules of order. I go by Dr. Umar rules of order of black order.
He is the prince.
So me and
Mighty,
Logic
mighty
are at the cookout. Y'all got to stop it. Stop
And yeah, and this is boycott. I'm suffering because LP
Shame.
is nice. You ever heard patriotism? LP spits when he want to, but like I said, I'm sorry, I can't put no support and no money behind no white rappers. To every
the
black,
the Dr. Umar rules of black order. That's what I go by. So
Right.
so that's
You
it. What
passed
does it say?
all
Logic
the
equal
tests.
Jared favorite African Aryan rapper. That's messed up. And you know what's a shame to my own treachery, my own lack of solidarity? I haven't listened to one. I don't think I've listened to one full track. I've watched a little documentary about him, an interview here or there, but I don't think I've listened to any of his music.
I don't know if you weren't spitting in the '90s.
Yeah.
Came out after '95. I don't, who?
Once the score came out, I think I made it to 96. After the score dropped, I was done.
Neck tattoo rappers, I'm lost.
I don't know nothing about them either.
I don't even try to learn. I just sit when my sons talk about their music. I just sit with my mouth slightly agape.
Yeah.
And they be like, and little vomit and pistol skeet and like and there's like the trippy I'm like, okay, yeah. I try to pretend to be interested. You know, I try to act like I wanted adults to act around me when I was a kid, but it's an act. I don't care. And I respect the fact that my elders didn't care about the bullshit I was talking. But I try to be a modern parent. But I have to listen to I think he left for school. Man, they go on about these neck tattoo, purple dreadlock rappers, and I'm at a total loss.
I get little, I get my updates in my hip hop classes. That's about it. So I listen to, I have students submit, mixtapes or videos or whatever, and I try to but a lot of it is I just don't feel. I feel like I'm the old man in the club. I don't like the voyeuristic aspect of it. I don't need to hear basically children in very adult settings talking about their lives. I don't. I feel
it sucks. It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't afraid to say it. I don't think I'm being, generationist or ageist. I think, if there is any type of metric to measure quality, the shit is bad.
Now I'm with you on this. So I'm now my track record on this issue is documented back to 1988. So I have never let white friends get away with use of the N-word.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah,
I can't even say what I would do in that situation because I've never been in that situation.
Oh,
I was
I've
in that
been in it.
situation once, and I think I held it down.
Oh, I've ruined relationships, upset social settings. It's gone bad for me. I'm the one that's ostracized. I've had black friends tell me I'm the one that needs to leave because I'm the one upsetting the apple cart with their white buddies using the N-word. So I
That's what
don't.
black people got on me. I wanted to clothesline this dude. He called I didn't know anybody personally. I was playing basketball in New York, and they was trying to tell me this Puerto Rican dude called me the N-word, told me because I was ball hogging and taking shots I knew I couldn't make. And he was right to be pissed at me. But he was like, called me the N-word, and I stepped to dude. I called him the S word, and all
Ooh.
the black people attacked me. Yeah.
So I remember
But I can't even
yeah.
listen to Fat Joe. I can't listen to Immortal Technique. I can't abide it.
I've changed on this issue, and I'm with you. I used to try to give that New York pass, that what you would call like the Fat Joe pass. I don't do it
No.
anymore. But I will say this. I do not upset I don't turn over tables at family in-law gatherings. I talk about it after the fact with my children. We have conversations about it. But this is an issue
Yeah.
because and especially around in my experience where there's this enormous overlap of the black and brown community, of really the African diaspora and the brown community in my immediate experience. And everybody's on board with the use of the word. And I'm not cool with it. I'm just not cool with it. But I will admit that I don't, when it comes to the family settings, I don't, because I admit I don't want the experience. I don't want to want the family thing to have, I don't want to do with the family what has happened in social settings. It's a contradiction. But I mean, because we're talking about people who are like, their spouses, like you got their black spouses and mixed black Latino kids, and they grow up in these Prince PG County hood areas and stuff like that. I just have chosen to. Now, is it true? Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. Immortal Tech uses the N-word.
That's
I think
all
he did.
he says. Go listen to Revolutionary.
It's been a
Volume
minute.
1 or
It's been a
2.
minute. Yeah,
That's
I'm not.
all he
Yeah.
says. I can't listen to his shit. I was really I went and got that shit, and I'm like, God damn, I had to go look into, and I'm like, word? Immortal Revolutionary Volume 2. That's all he says.
And
I
you know
don't
where,
even buy
and
that shit.
there was another time I didn't say anything either, and I was at my this is years ago. I was at my brother-in-law's soccer game, and it was all Latino and African diaspora players. I don't think there were any white folks even on the field, and the N-word was just all over the place. And there was this one point where I always remember this one part. There was a Latino who got mad at his black teammate. They're on the same team, but the black player made a mistake, and he was like, "Come on, get yourself together." And I just remember thinking, yeah, this is not. This don't work. You, but I didn't intervene. I never said anything. I never. Again, in part because of really primarily because, well, first of all, it was at a game where the parents of each team ended up getting into an altercation. So it was like a lot of hostility. There was like beef with the ref. So it would have definitely led to some sort of physical conflict.
But here's the thing that know. Here's the thing about white folks and those who mimic and seek to emulate them. They'll start with ribbing and mild mockery, insults, but their ultimate goal is your absolute dehumanization. So you just can't play like that. And it really saddens me that a lot of young black people think, oh, they're so far removed from the lynching tree. They're so far removed from the back of the bus. They think they've come so far and they're so advanced that they no longer have the shackles and the burdens of a long time ago. We're this the 2000s that they can spread. But here, let me tell you this. One thing I've learned. I am a connoisseur of slurs. So I know the slurs for the Irish. I know
Oh,
the
yeah.
slurs for the French. I know the slurs for the Scotch. I know the slurs for the Latin American Hispanic community and the particular Mexican
I was gonna
versus Puerto
say,
Rican
yeah,
versus
it's not all the same. They
Dominican
got
versus
specific,
Venezuelan. So you come with my slurs, I'm gonna come back at you with your slurs. That's just my policy. If we doing a slur, let's have a fucking slur party. If you're gonna say a slur to me, then it's gonna be a slur party. That's my position. If you get to say slurs, I'ma say slurs, and let's all do the slur dance. That's my position. Now, it's been a while since I be putting hands on people and, like you said, flipping tables. But if you open the slur door, I'ma kick that shit all the way open, and I'ma come with my slurs too. So let's all do slurs or nobody do slurs. But I ain't gonna be the one having my ancestors disrespected while your ancestors get to rest comfortably in their shallow graves. Fuck that shit. So if I don't know your particular heritage, I can just look you over and find something broad enough. So that's my position. And it
So
is
I know
gonna
I hear
take
you,
well,
but
that
again, in
shuts
the
people
context
the
that
fuck
I'm
up.
talking about,
That shuts them up real quick.
in the context I'm talking about, for the most part, we're not talking about the use of the word in the hostile sense. Then
It's
it's in the
always
it's
there's no other way to
I
use it.
I know I understand what I but Diallo,
If you're
but
not black, there's no other way to use it. But I'm sorry, go.
no, but Diallo, you do, but I understand you're right, but you do recognize that for a large segment of societies, there is this belief that the N word can be affectionate, be. I'm not disagree. Please don't argue the point with me. I'm only asking you to, if you can at least acknowledge the reality that for some that is the case. That's all I'm saying.
I
And what
disagree with that.
you disagree with the fact that there are people who use the word, who consciously to themselves at least argue that they're using it out of affection?
Non-black people, black people who don't have the history of slavery, segregation,
Again, I'm not.
discrimination, and black people who didn't have to go
All
through
right.
and don't go through that, they get that. They
I
get to
didn't
get on
say that.
that.
You're not. I'm trying to, again, this is where sometimes we have this issue with this nuance. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm asking you if you recognize that, yes, there are, particularly in communities like around here in PG County, Maryland, just as an example, where you have this enormous overlap of Black and Latin American communities, particularly, again, Diallo, I'm not, in the same way you do acknowledge that there, even among Black people, there is this idea that I'm using the N-word with you as a term of endearment, and that we
Yes,
have
amongst black
reclaimed the
people.
term.
I acknowledge that
But
amongst
do you
black people.
but do you also recognize that there are segments I've experienced, certainly in the New York area, certainly down here in the PG County area, where Black and brown communities are accepting of it among each other, given a shared experience and location and brotherhood or sisterhood that they feel with each other? I'm not agreeing with it. In fact, I've just said I don't agree with it, but I'm asking if you at least acknowledge that it's there. That's the only
I
the
I do not acknowledge that it's coming
okay.
from affection from non-black people, even
Do you
though
not? No.
non.
Do you acknowledge that they claim that it's affectionate?
Oh
As
yeah, yeah, they
That's
lie
all I'm
about every
saying.
goddamn. Yes, and I think they're
Okay.
lying. I acknowledge
Okay.
that they claim it, but I don't think that it's sincere, and I
Okay.
don't think that they're in their hearts and hearts because they all come from extremely racist and anti-black cultures. And they don't challenge the racism. They want all, like this one sister poet, they all Bob and no Marley. When people want to engage with the fun parts of blackness, but don't want to engage with the struggle of blackness. So even
So
here in Chicago, on the West Side, we got people from various parts of Latin America that love black culture, love black food, love black women, and when we have to take it to the streets, when atrocity is committed by the police or some other overt act of racial aggression, they not there for the struggle. You got these people who are there to dance to our music. They're there to dance to our music. They're there to eat our food. They're there to ape our culture and our style and to lay in our beds. But they're not about to lock arms with us in sincere struggle, especially when the offense and the attack is coming from the core of their community. Latin America is racist as fuck. From the Dominican Republic lynching Haitians to the Mexican discrimination and the mockery in Mexican media, where they're still got the racist caricatures all over Mexican media and products. And if you go the further south, you go to the border, to harboring Nazis in South America. So no, I do not believe that these people are coming from the same place as we do, and that's a big problem we have. We're always projecting our sentiments on other people who don't hold our sentiments because they act in the same way we do. Fuck that shit.
But I'm
And
not.
here's one more thing. There's enough slurs and enough slurs in their culture. Come with your own slurs, because I've been around Mexican people and I've heard them talk about use slurs within their community. I've been around Jews where they're talking amongst themselves and they use slurs and stereotypes joking. I've been around the LGBTQ community where they use anti-gay slurs and talk. I've been around the sisters where they call each other words that if I said it, it would be sexist and misogynistic. Every isolated group, especially isolated groups that have been discriminated against and been attacked and been dehumanized, will often claim that word and use it in their own way. But when you come from outside and you go like, well, I like and I hang out with them and all my friends are these people, that does not give you. And what one thing I learned is when I do engage in disabled communities and amongst disabled people say shit and little reckless shit amongst other disabled people, that does not allow me as an outsider to come in. And the fact that you have that desire, the fact that you have a desire to want to use it and participate at a level you got no business participating. I don't fly with me. And like I said, you say slurs around me and you ain't black, you ain't of African descent, and you use the slur around me, I'm gonna use your slur, the slur against you. And like I said, I got a whole arsenal of slurs to throw at anybody that think they can be not black and use the N word.
So it's not that I disagree with any of that. I just don't think that you're hearing the point I'm
I
trying to
heard
make.
you, and I disagree with you. Why you act like just because somebody disagree with you, they don't hear you?
Because your whole argument is you're arguing because you're arguing against a point I have not made. That's what makes me think that you're not listening, because nobody is, everything that you just ranted is on the one hand accurate, but is not addressing the point I'm trying to make. So that's what I'm finding a little frustrating. But so maybe I just am not able, I don't have the ability to make the point clear enough.
Did you not
So
ask me for that other people can use the N word from a point of affection or from the same cultural context as black people use it?
first of all, what I was asking you was, all I was asking you, what I thought was the very simple yes. I thought I was going to get just a simple yes. That's another point of naivete on my part, because it wasn't, do you agree? It wasn't inviting the soliloquy that you just offered, which is as accurate as it is, does not address the point I'm raising. It was to ask you initially, do you even acknowledge, are you even aware, can you even acknowledge the existence of communities where what you're saying doesn't actually apply? Because what you're saying doesn't actually apply to the description of the setting I was trying to share. So for instance, if you have, and also I was acknowledging my own inability to address certain issues in certain settings in ways that are not going to be harmful or explosive. So I was thinking, again, I'm thinking of communities where black and brown people have grown up together. They are intermingling in terms of family, in terms of social and lived experience. And we're talking about, in the most immediate experience, I'm thinking of younger people who have grown up in a context where if they didn't use that language, they would be seen as outsiders or inconsistent with what's happening in their community. Because their black friends use the word and encourage that they do as well. Their experiences are so intertwined and overlapped that the distinctions that you're accurately drawing out in the history are not known to them. They're not even experienced by them. They are not generationally growing up in the same way as their parents and grandparents. So the racism that you're accurately describing that exists in Latin America isn't transferring to some of these younger generations in the same way. In this case, in these specific instances that I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the Mexicans that call black people this, that, and the third. I'm talking about specifically in New York City's area, in the New York City area, or down here in the Prince George's County area. I'm talking about particularly younger generations of Latinos who are growing up, again, very much intertwined with the local black community and following suit with what they are being encouraged to believe is the normal course of socialization and growth and interaction. So I'm saying to you, I don't agree with it. I'm also just acknowledging that I don't know exactly what to do about it. And I don't think your approach in the settings I'm talking about is realistic. It would lead to massive violence, destruction of families.
Wow.
And an inability for the message to be heard. So again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm sharing an honest, contradictory space that I'm experiencing, and admitting I'm not. I don't have the level of clarity that you have, because you don't. You have the in this case luxury of a single lane without the overlaps, without the contradictions. And in some ways I'm even envious of it. But I think that it eases the conclusions that you reach, which are not wrong, but I think also does not acknowledge that other people are living the simple ease.
Wow.
And but go ahead. You listened long enough. You did as well as you could to let me lay it out as best I could.
I have to tell you, I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but I don't care how deep in the ghetto, in the inner city housing project, how steeped someone is in black culture, how many buckets of chitlins they have digested, or whatever other form of manifestation of blackness you want to imagine. Non-black people in those settings always realize I may be poor, I may be in the inner city, I may speak broken English, but I'm not a nigga. They know. I'm telling you, they never or
I'm not
ever
disputing that, though.
You just created a scenario. You just created a scenario where a non-black person could be so intertangled. And I've been in the South Bronx. I've been in East New York, Bushwick. I've been to the west side of Chicago and the west side of Kansas City. I've been in all these communities all over. I've been in Vallejo, East LA. I've been and engaged in all these communities where black people are mixed with other groups and have common history, common culture, common experiences with other groups. But every other group that
I
find themselves,
agree.
because there was a time when black people were in the slums.
But what did you do in those moments, Diallo? What did you do? Was your family engaged with that? And in those moments, when you're in those cookouts and your family's there, you blew up the party, you interrupted and had this discussion with those people?
Oh, yes.
I don't believe that. I just flat out don't believe it. And I don't believe it went well, and I don't believe you've maintained a family if they're fact. Yes, bring them. I do. I don't believe you. I flat out don't believe it.
I have Mexican and white relatives. I know when
there's zero chance you were in the settings that I'm talking about and did what you're claiming. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I did.
I don't
in
believe
Brooklyn,
you.
New York City. Yes, I did. With the Puerto Rican community. And they learned, hey, this guy's weird. This guy's a little off.
It's not the setting I'm talking about. It wasn't. I'm not talking about some disentangled situation that you're in. First of all, I don't believe that, but I definitely don't believe you did it where there's families overlapping.
All you got to do, go do the test. You go to this mixed and melded and meshed multiracial community where everybody has a black identity to the point where they can use the N-word word, and you go to that community and use the S word or any other word that these
That's not
people who are so
obviously that's
intertwined
not to
with
say I
black
get
people.
it, but that's not what I'm saying. You're missing my point,
I,
Diallo.
I'm not missing your point. I just simply
This is where
disagree
we
with
always
you.
have our issue. No, you're not, because you're not disagreeing with the point I'm making. You're hearing me say that it's okay for Latinos to use the
I
N
didn't say
word.
that you said
And
that.
you're saying
Nope,
you just
I
no,
don't.
but
I
that's
didn't
what you're
say.
but
Nope.
that's but Diallo, that's the argument you're responding to. You're not responding to the
I'm
to the
responding to the
you're
fallacy that you articulated, that there can be populations of people with black people, that there are some places in this country where people of so-called Latin or Hispanic heritage are so intertwined with black people, live so closely intertwined, intermarried, intercultured with black people. And that the black people even encourage them, and that they need to use
but
the
it
N
does.
word
I'm watching.
to be able to navigate these
But I
spaces
live it
and
every
to
day. I see it every day. What are you talking about? That's the point
and
I'm
I'm
getting at.
telling you that those non-black people that you described understand that they ain't black and
Yes, I'm
understand
not
that when
disagreeing with you.
that they can use the N word and that they are not themselves N words.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not
So that
disagreeing with you. That,
means
again, that's why
that
I'm saying you're
black
not
people
arguing against my
for our
point. You're
own
arguing a point I'm not
dignity
making.
and racial esteem should shut that shit down.
Yes, I hear you're saying they should shut it down. What I'm not hearing you say is an acknowledgement. What I'm not hearing you acknowledge is the unreality of what you're describing. Because you're not because what you're describing, and I do not believe you've been in a setting that I'm talking about and done what
Oh,
you're claiming
I
to have
have.
done.
Oh, yes, I have.
And it certainly hasn't
And
been
I'll do it
recent.
again.
And if you well, I almost it's so tempting, but I just don't think you've taken enough time or taken a moment to actually hear the situation I'm describing and to think outside of your own immediate experience, even to consider objectively the condition other people might be in, even as I'm agreeing with you that your analysis is correct. You're oversimplifying and I think misrepresenting situations you've been in and definitely not understanding the situation I'm describing.
Can I ask you a
Uh,
question?
sure.
Is there a situation where black people get so enmeshed in a community, so intertwined, where black people are allowed to freely use slurs and charged language of another group with impunity and even be encouraged? Let's say you have there are black Hasidic Jews, right? And when I was at Brooklyn College, which was a predominantly Jewish school, I would hear the Jewish students use all type of anti-Semitic slurs amongst each other. So can you give me an example? Because you and I both have dozens of examples where these Asians, Latino, and even white people feel comfortable enough being in the fantasy scenario that you described, that hey, I have to use the N word. I can't just function in this environment and culture without using the N word. Give me an instance where you know of any black community or individual that goes amongst another community and freely spit their slurs because they're so enmeshed and so intertwined with that community that they could just use charged or
I've
offensive
never
language
I've never
against another
argued this
group.
point. This your question right here proves that I'm right in saying you're not arguing the point I'm making.
I
What you're saying is right, but you're
Woo,
not arguing the point that I'm making. So of course, I've never been in a situation that you're describing, but of course,
'cause
we've
it
never
doesn't
been in it.
exist.
Exactly, because no other community has suffered what black people in this country have suffered, and no other community has had their relationship to this country's public opinion
So
and pop
logic
culture
would
to be the
suggest
same. But at the same time, no other community has been raised and encouraged to emerge in the way other communities are vis-a-vis black communities to adopt a distorted blackness that has been projected by non-black people into popular culture, that has been reimposed back on black people for them to accept their own an own bastardized version of themselves handed them by someone else, while claiming to have redefined and reappropriated some of that language. So none of that. So of course there's not going to be that situation, but that's not what I'm arguing. I have been in the spaces. I've done so. This is why I'm trying to say about the nuance. I've done all of this. I started off jokingly, but I've been saying for decades, I have ruined relationships over this. I do not let white people use the N-word. I do not let people get away. I've been in spaces where I broke up a party because a white boy called his Latino friend the S word, and I was like, "You gonna let him do that?" And it ruined the whole evening. So I don't have a problem with that. What I'm trying to explain, though, is in the situation particularly that I find myself in now, where I'm looking at, again, communities that have raised up differently, that are in relationships with each other in these specific settings, where they have been, through all these massive distortions, encouraged and welcomed by their Black peers and invited. My daughters talk about this on a regular. I'm not even aware. They talk about all the ongoing conversations in their school right now about all of the details that their peers use about who gets to use the N-word. How Black do you get to, how many Black grandparents do you have to have before you're allowed to use the N-word? Can African diaspora folks who just got here within the last few generations, do they get to use? They're all over the place. What I'm simply trying to say is that in certain settings, I'm not able, without, I'm just admitting that in certain settings specifically related to family. So again, Diallo, I'm not denying that you're accurate in your assessment. I'm not even denying that the only thing I'm denying is that you would do in the settings I'm describing what you said you've done. Because in those settings where it is family, where it is friends, where it is more complicated than you're describing, and where you and your children and you're in, again, well, all right, I'll just stop there. That's fine. I can't do any better than this.
Listen,
I know for you it's not complex, and that's the beauty, and that's the luxury of the world you live in, Diallo. Everything is just so easy.
Yeah, it ain't easy, but I mean, goddamn it,
you just said it's easy.
I don't
it's
struggle
not complex.
with shit. I got enough shit that I have to struggle with, that I'm not about to struggle with shit that is easy. I'm gonna go ahead
and I just don't believe that if you, I just think for you're not in these spaces. You have the luxury of not having to be challenged.
Non-Black people saying the N-word, that's like getting credit for putting your name and the accurate date on the exam paper in the exam of life.
Again, you're
that's
not arguing.
No-go. That's a non-starter.
Okay.
And like I said, where you described that Black people have a unique history of any other ethnic or racially distinct group in this, Black people have a very unique history. Therefore, my conclusion is we should police that shit harder than any other group. And like I said, even amongst whites, in Missouri, back in the 70s, they set up the inner city projects right across from the trailer parks. There'd be like a creek and a landfill, and the dirty little white kids would play with the poor little Black kids. And I'd hear them white folks using every racial slur against anti-white slur, from honky, peckerwood, redneck. They would use all that shit. And I'd hear it on a daily basis. I was in New York City, and like I said, I was around predominantly Jewish groups, and they would use every stereotype, penny pinching, Shylock. They'd use every anti-Jewish slur amongst themselves. I would hear like I said, I've been collecting slurs. I didn't know Irish versus Italians. You wop, you mix. I've been hearing that shit go across every other group. And the only group that allows people to bleed over, but I just absolutely disagree with you that someone could be not Black in America and simply being enmeshed, merged, mixed, and around Black people so deeply that they just have no choice. Because I know in my life, Black people I've been around all my life that don't use the N-word. And if it's a Black person of African descent, a descendant of slavery,
what you just said is not my argument.
Black,
but what you just said misrepresents my argument. I didn't say.
I'm at an absolute loss, because you keep talking about these people who came up in an environment where the Black people was like, say nigga, choking them, forcing them. Like there are people.
That's not how I described it. You're misrepresenting my argument.
So enmeshed in black culture.
You're misrepresenting my argument.
Use the N-word and don't even know it's wrong. Don't even see it that way.
That is true. They are you. That part is true.
That's not a person in the United States of America that don't know about the racial hierarchy and is not aware where they stand in that racial hierarchy. And if they say they don't, they lying to you, Jared. Oh, I just say nigga. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just thought I was a nigga. Sometimes I feel a little.
Again, I'm not saying that they're not lying. What I'm saying is what I'm trying to say is you're not acknowledging a whole new wave of generations who are raised in outside of your context. And I'm not saying that they're right. I'm saying you're not acknowledging it. And
I acknowledge that.
And when you describe the point that I'm making that you're disagreeing with, you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. And just like your boy in the chat, everything is politics.
And them children
you're misrepresenting what I'm saying and not hearing and it's you're arguing a logical point, but it's not the argument that I'm making. You're not hearing my point. And I wish in these moments that I could get you to hear what I'm saying.
Listen, I have a homie who moved upstate where his son was one of only 2 black kids in the whole school. And that school was saturated with the N-word. And his son was only 2 of black students in the whole goddamn school. And this is a child today. And he said that all the Latino and Asian kids, not Vietnamese kids, were all using the N-word freely. And he shut that whole shit down where they had to have an assembly and the administrator and the school board. He shut that shit down for a large school district but the black child that was there before him was just swimming in a sea of N-words, and he was the only black person there, and this other child came. My own children have confronted this, even though I've done everything in my power to make sure my children dwell in predominantly black spaces, from school to activities. My own children have confronted this, and my sons shut that shit down. And my sons have friends from all walks of life. My friends have, where I have to, they, them, I have to learn pronouns and I have to learn shit I never thought I had to learn.
Your children had to intervene, but your children had to intervene.
Have intervened.
Meaning that those other children are being raised in a certain setting that required your children to intervene. So that's all I'm saying. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with that.
And that intervention is not occurring in the context of overlapping families.
That they're doing it.
Right?
I don't.
Right?
But you use
it's not an overlapping families, and they're having to intervene. That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point.
And if there's anybody in my family, I've got Mexicans in my family. I got white folks who have married into my family. And if anybody in my family, any of my relatives are playing that game, they make sure I ain't around. They can do it at church because they know I don't go to church. But when I show up, when I come to town, when I get off the fucking KCI airport and take the shuttle downtown to Kansas City, shut that shit down for the time I'm there. Because I don't play like that. And I think that anyone who is not black using the N-word, I think number one, they know goddamn well they are not black. And even those people who are submerged in blackness, or those ethnic groups who are associated with black people, they tend to go the hardest in show to demonstrate the dominant society that, hey, I'm not these people. The Vietnamese who would run little stores all across, and we walk in and we think it's so funny that they're using black jive as they exploit and take resources out of our community. We are too what they call it, xenophilic. We are a xenophilic people. No passes, no excuses. And if I gotta be the last nigga on earth to hold that line, then so be it. And I don't think it's unrealistic. And I teach my children. I have friends and allies who have taught their children. And I don't care if it's the year 2100. Well, if one person's racial slur will be articulated, everybody's racial slur is coming out.
I don't disagree with you. I just, again, you're not arguing the point I'm making, and you haven't even acknowledged the point I'm making in the context I'm describing. So,
I did acknowledge it, and I told you that
Hey,
it's
then send me
wrong.
the
And I
email.
told you
Everything is
that's
hold on, Diallo, real quick. Everything is politics. All serious. You have really crossed the line in your discussion of me this morning. So if you want to send me an email and set up this visit, please do. Otherwise, be quiet or get banned or apologize. But you're not going to sit up here anonymously talking trash about me in the way that you've been talking trash. A, you've been incorrect, and B, you've crossed the line. I don't accept that around here. It's not happening. So it's up to you how you want to proceed. But no, not for calling me biracial. You're arguing that I'm in some sort of level of denial, and you've been hostile in your discussion of my identity. So for you, what you're doing is, so let me just step back. In fact, what you're doing is you're extending the mistake Diallo's making this morning to make it personal and not listen to what I'm actually arguing and arguing what I'm actually saying. That's so this issue of me being in some sort of denial is absurd given literally anyway, whatever. But
I've
as I
acknowledged
said,
every position you've taken.
no, you
Jared.
haven't.
You said there are
You
some non-black people so enmeshed and so fused, merged, and mixed with black people and so steeped in blackness and black culture. You acknowledge that there can be some non-black folks
I didn't say that
use the
no, I didn't say that. See, that's the point right there, Diallo. That's the mistake. I did not say that because of their experience, they're allowed to
I
do
didn't
it.
say the
No,
word
you
allowed.
just did it. Wait, you just said that I said they
I said
can
that
do it. Hold on, Diallo. Stop for a second. Stop. What you just said was that I said that they can do it. I never said that. What I said was, from their perspective, they do it based on what their experiences have been and what their experiences have told them is acceptable for them.
And
I'm acknowledging what is, not that I agree with
and
it.
I
No.
said it's wrong.
I didn't say that. But I didn't say it was right. That's why I'm saying you're not
I didn't say
arguing.
that
You're
you
not
said it
disagreeing
was
with
right.
me.
It's unacceptable.
Diallo,
But
stop for a second. I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was acceptable. That's my point. You are misrepresenting my argument, and I really wish you would stop doing that and show me some.
Then? What is the point of it?
Okay. The point
Why
of the
lay out that this phenomenon happens if you're not going to make a conclusion about the phenomenon?
What I did you're not listening. Again, you keep showing how little you're listening to what I'm saying because you want to make an argument that you are right about, but that is not appropriate to what I'm saying. So I'll try again. What I was saying was, what I was saying, and I'm still.
Okay.
What I am still saying is that I do not agree that it should be done, that the N-word is acceptable for anyone. But it has become in the mind's eye of some based on the way that they are growing up. And what I was acknowledging was that in certain settings regarding family and intense, close personal ties, I have not found the way that I can address it without it creating levels of drama and trauma that I'm not personally prepared to deal with. In my specific setting that you haven't addressed and acknowledged even exists, much less attempted to understand. So I am not saying that it is okay, regardless of the experience, for anyone to use that word. I am not saying that those who use it are, I don't believe that particularly certain generations, that they are consciously aware of the racial history or their distance from the slur. Nonetheless, I don't agree that they are using it. I'm just acknowledging and trying to objectively understand that something, to the best that I can, that something is happening and recognizing the limitations, my own personal limitations in addressing some certain instances of it. I've never defended it. I've never accepted it. In fact, quite the opposite. And I even began by laying out and making the point that because of so many previous experiences of the table turning and the ruining of this and that I don't want, I'm admitting I don't want to risk that in these certain settings where I'm dealing with in-laws, family, etc. And I have not found a way, other than maybe here or there some side conversations, and certainly with my own children, about what I have not found a way to impart to the broader extended family all that they would need to understand to and appreciate to make certain changes. That's what I've been saying. But to sit here and suggest that I have condone this or that I find it acceptable or that I agree with it is to completely misrepresent the point that I'm making.
I have to say this, which is very curious to me, and I'd like you to address it. You are suggesting that to confront a non-black person that has some type of connection or ties, to confront that person where you said it could be trauma, it could cause disruption. And it's funny to me that the non-black person using the N-word isn't the source of the trauma and disruption.
I
You
agree.
confronting and challenging the person using the N-word is the
Yeah,
source of control. That is
I agree.
mystified. And I think, and I would encourage you and you to encourage others that the trauma starts when they first use the word. The disruption starts when they use the word. So when I smack the shit out you verbally for using the word, that is not the source of the disruption. That is a response. That is an ability to bring back order, peace, and balance. Because that, yes, that does cause me to short circuit. When someone says, well, a non black person saying nigga, and if I say, the fuck have you lost your fucking mind? Then when I ask them if they've lost their fucking mind, then I've created trauma. That no, the trauma started. I'm responding to the trauma and trying to correct and confront and cure the trauma. And yes, I know there are all kind of people who make all kinds of rationale and justifications for non-black people using this word. And I don't care about your background. I grew up in white America. I grew up in the heart of America, the Midwest. And even though these people or have us under genocidal oppression. When I am amongst the poor and working class white folks, I do not go around using anti-white slurs, even though I grew up around and saturated in all my favorite heroes. My He-Man doll had blonde hair and blue eyes. I played with white and Superman, white heroes all my life. And I'm so steeped in white culture. It is I don't care I don't believe that there's anybody in the United States. I don't believe that there's anyone, and I think the research supports me, that is number one, not aware of the racial hierarchy, and number two, not aware of their position within the racial hierarchy. And that goes to children as young as 2 and 3 years old. When they ask little children at preschool and put up a picture of a white man and a picture of a black man and say, which man will rob you? If you're in trouble, which man will help you? So no, I don't believe that you can grow up in the Bronx, in East New York, in East LA, in Vallejo, California, in Houston, in any part of America within the territory defined as the United States or even planet Earth, if I'm going, that you can be use that word. And so the argument that there are some people so steep that they aren't aware of what they're doing, I don't accept that. The argument that
I didn't
we
say I
should not,
accepted it. You keep man, you and some
I do
folks in the
not
chat
accept,
wildly misrepresent what I'm
I
saying
do
and just
not
really
accept the
disrespectful.
fact that
And
a
some of you
black
in the
person,
chat, if you can't even respect me enough to put your name on some of the shit you're saying, then what are you even doing here? I'm about to start banning all of these motherfuckers, man. Fuck some of you motherfuckers, man. And Diallo is, and forgive me for that language, but I have to say that it's frustrating to me that your intent to argue a point that I'm not making is inhibiting our ability to elevate this conversation. It's
finally, I
frustrating.
would have to say that if our people, I think disrupting and creating tension in a setting, whatever that setting may be, to confront a non-black person using the N-word, I think that it should be done because they're not going to stop there. They never stop there. And I know every single down ass back in my day, 40-ounce drinking, 40 in a blunt non-black person that was so steeped in the culture that they didn't even the lines blurred between who they are and who the black people are. They really quick to drop the E. I know several hip hop grimy cats from the 90s that are now suburban white Republicans.
See, this is what I'm
Just
saying
like
here.
and
Excel
so no,
Escalante.
I
Hold
don't
up. Excel. This is what I'm saying. This is exactly what Diallo's misrepresentation of my argument has led to into the chat. I never said anything about what I'm comfortable with or what you all have totally, of course. Excel, this is what I'm gonna say to you. You want me to answer that question? Send me the email with your actual identity. And then we'll have a conversation about it, because that's just a false representation of what I've been saying here. And if you can point to a timestamp or a quote where I've said anything that would suggest that comment or that question is legit, send that as well. And I'm waiting for that email from Everything's is Politics too. I don't see it yet.
And
But
listen,
this is ridiculous.
if having a
y'all
zero
crazy,
tolerance,
man.
having zero tolerance for anybody that's not black using the N-word and having extremely limited, if that makes me limited, then so be it. So blood clot be it. I just don't accept. I just do not accept the argument that there can be a population of non-black people using the N-word for whatever reason, no matter where they come from, no matter what their background is. And we never, like you said, you acknowledge, we never see the reverse of that. I never seen a black person walking around comfortably using honky
CD, I've
amongst a
explained
bunch of
this is
white folks
personal to
because he
me.
grew up in an all-white environment.
But CD, I don't know what your real name is or who you are, but if you've been paying attention, this is personal to me. So I don't have a problem with being emotional, and I'm emotional. I'm emotional because my argument's being misrepresented, my character's being demeaned, people anonymously are taking shots in the chat and still haven't sent emails suggesting who they really are. So yeah, I'm irritated, and I have no problem being irritated. And if you come into these public spaces and behave in good faith as I do and get treated this way, and you don't get emotional or irritated, if you don't have family or if you're not connected to these politics in any meaningful, real way, and don't get emotional when this stuff comes up, then what you doing here? Then there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. So yeah, you damn right. And you damn right I got an issue with all of this stuff. And in all of this, and I don't believe that it's that the setting and the context that I've been doing the best I could to describe this morning is being properly taken into consideration by Diallo or anybody else.
Maybe
at least Diallo's up here on camera with his real name.
Give us some specifics. Where are these individuals?
I gave you specifics.
Where?
I told you. First of all, I gave you full well the New York City region has its own specific history, and I told you the PG County area down here in Maryland has its own particular PG Montgomery County has its own particular Latin African diaspora overlap, and there's certain class conditions and social conditions in which they all emerge, and in some cases with families and others there's tremendous overlap. So there's Latinos married to black people with their quote unquote mixed kids where the N-word is used all over the place. And all I'm suggesting is that in some settings, trying to address that is not going to go well. It's not that I disagree with you. It's not that I don't think that certain interventions are right. And I don't think it's fair that as I sit here and humbly acknowledge some of my own insecurities or shortcomings or even failures, that should mean a distortion of who I am or what my argument is. That's the problem with some of this stuff, and one of the reasons why these YouTube spaces are so wrought with disingenuous conversation, because as soon as somebody says something that is halfway self-deprecating, you got anonymous people in the chat running their goddamn mouths, saying things they know they fully wouldn't say to somebody when they're in their face, even somebody 52 years old and half broken. And yeah, so you damn right I get emotional. This stuff, like I have fun here, but this stuff means something to me. I'm not out here just to play games, and this stuff is something that I do live and experience on a daily basis. So, so what I am saying though is that again, Diallo, in these certain settings, I do acknowledge why someone or how someone could be raised in a Spanish-speaking Latin American community that has these overlaps where they are encouraged from a very early age in all of their settings and media to use the N-word, and they are invited by other members of the black community and even in their family to use it. And I am aware that when trying to intervene in that process, that there are risks and damages, social damage that could occur. Now, I agree with you that it is the menticide and it does have to be addressed. And I'm just also acknowledging the reality that myself and many others are not always going to be able to do it the right way and be able to flip the tables over. Now, I've said specifically, and this is why some of the comments in the chat are disingenuous, and I'm waiting for these emails. I've also been very clear about the context I'm setting of this black and brown overlap. So this idea that whites who marry into these communities should be afforded the same consideration is disingenuous. The idea, I wouldn't even share some of my own. This is why I don't even share some of the real personal anecdotes that would explode some of the myths that are being said about me in the chat, because I don't. First of all, I don't want to be that autobiographical, and it's your goddamn business. But it's also that, I'm also trying to step out of the anecdote to say that, and this is sort of my point with you, Diallo, that it's not reducing everything to levels of either anecdotal simplicity to anecdotal simplicity does a disservice to the reality. So I just wish you would laser beam focus that accurate argument and apply it when appropriate, and acknowledge that there are certain experiences people are having that challenge the ease that you bring to your conclusions. That's all. I guess I'll stop there. I've gone way out of pocket. I don't even like getting.
Can I
like
ask
this
you
on
a
here,
couple
but,
of questions
please
to
ask
help
as
me
many as you
gain
want.
clarity?
As many as you want.
What are the racial, the primary racial groups of Latin America?
I mean, there's the mestizo, there's the Afro. I guess we could leave it there if we want to stay broad enough for the dominant categories. What are you trying to get at?
What I'm getting at is this concept of brown, because I hear black and brown, black and brown. I listen to Dead Prez albums and they talking about the plight of black people and they scream black and brown, black and brown. And I have an issue with terms Latino, Hispanic, and brown. And maybe this is a somewhat of a departure from the core issue of what words they can say and can't say. But I think that the black community needs to be well educated and well aware that many of these brown people, once they cross that imaginary line between so-called Latin America and North America, that many of those people become white and they are classified as white in Latin America and they become brown when here. A lot of people where we put people under this broad umbrella of brown or Latin or Hispanic, but once they cross that imaginary border, they become black, they become native, they become white, and the same hierarchies that are imposed here are reinforced and imposed even more aggressively in Latin America. I think this goes to black people exerting ourselves and giving solidarity to people who, number one, aren't worthy of it, and number two, don't even want it. I mean, just last Friday, we had a black woman come here and tell us about Dominicans and their treatment and positions on Haiti and Haitians. And those same people that were part of a Haitian lynch mob in the Dominican Republic can come here and say nigga and have full black love and solidarity and think there's some type of black and brown bondage. I think we as a people, beyond the N word in terms of expenditures of our resources and identifying allies and developing strategies for our protection and our ultimate liberation, need to truly revisit this. Because we every allyship we entered into, and this is nothing new. When you go back to when Irish and Jews were the slum dwellers, and black people thought we had some type of solidarity with these off-white or pre-white, proto-white groups when they were the slum dwellers, when they were the outsiders, when they were the foreigners with the bad accents. So I think this goes to a much deeper thing of what I call, or what it's not like I came up with it, but black people, we are xenophilic nature. Dr. John Henry Clark said, when you look at the best thing about somebody, you look on the flip side of that, you'll see the worst thing about a people. And one of the things he talked about is our xenophilia. And xenophilia is the ability to love strangers, to see ourselves in strangers, or see ourselves in people who are not us, to project ourselves onto people who are not us. And I think this N word is just a visceral example of how we do this across the board. So I just really, I just want you to know I do hear you. I think we agree ultimately on this. I think our only part of departure is where you say that you didn't say it verbatim, but the way you lay things out to help me understand it, it seems to suggest that you think that it is possible for someone to be so deeply steeped in a community or two different cultures that are often hostile and have divergent interests can be so merged together, black and brown, that certain things that become allowed that shouldn't be allowed, and the people who are doing the things that shouldn't be allowed are not necessarily doing it from a point of harm or hostility. I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with the harm that it is harmful for a black person to step and say to confront anybody under any terms anywhere. If you can say the word anywhere, you can say the word. That's the
But I'm
place I
talking
can
about,
challenge
just
the
to be
word.
clear, the harm I'm talking about is the harm to the social relationships and to the
I
setting.
understand that. That's what I'm talking about too.
And I'm acknowledging, but you're wrong in that. The point that the point may be right to make, but it would explode the social fabric. And I'm not saying, and I'm not judging the rightness or wrongness of it. I'm only acknowledging my own unwillingness or inability to do that. And that I'm almost partially willing to be criticized for. I'm just opening it up. I'm just being honest about it. But I am not, and I have never said anything that suggests that I am okay with what's happening. I'm only trying to understand and recognize that something is happening. And I don't think that you and many in the chat have been willing to acknowledge that and looked at it honestly. And I don't think you have an accurate and honest assessment of what's happening in some of these communities, in these certain settings, as it's happening now. So your point in general may be correct, but it's not being appropriately applied, and I don't think you're appropriately assessing what's going on.
I have to tell you, I've been in that position, and I'm not some black boot stomper. Or if it's right, if I'm right, I say what I want to say. I fully understand. As an atheist, you don't know how many times
Let's
I've
see.
stood around
Can
my
y'all hear me?
grandmother. Hold on. You don't know how many times I've stood
No.
around my grandmother's dining room table to say, "Bless the food," and all this other things that happen from when it's time for the Super Bowl. I don't knock over the TV stands and tell them about, bread and circuses. I fully understand, biting your tongue and holding back your views to preserve relationships. I fully understand that. And I do have non-black people who have married into and procreated with my family members that I have to sit across from. I'm not
Or not.
suggesting that anyone should, you know, blow up family ties. But what I do have to say is there's a certain line. There's a certain line. And I don't fault and I encourage every black person to establish and hold that line. It's certain shit, like Most Def said, it's certain shit you just don't do. I'm from Brooklyn. There's certain shit you just don't do. And I think this is one line that and again,
Jesus Christ!
I
But
would
Brooklyn is one of the main places where you would hear this contradiction that I'm
exactly.
talking about.
And
So
Brooklyn is
so people
where
definitely
and
do it in
Brooklyn is where
Brooklyn.
I
What are you
fought it.
talking about?
I agree.
And you
I'm
was in
saying
Brooklyn handling it, right? Come on,
yes,
Diallo. You're
every
not being
time.
fair right
Yes.
now, bro, man.
I'm
That's not
I'm
true.
being honest, dead
It's
ass.
not true.
Dead ass, son.
Okay,
Word
I
is
just don't
bond.
believe it. I just
I
don't
was in
believe it.
Brooklyn.
And I don't
Okay.
believe it in the context that I'm
And you
talking
know
about.
what?
I just
You
simply
know
don't
what the
believe it.
ultimate outcome was? You
Yeah.
know what the ultimate outcome was?
Mm.
When the black people would confront me and be like, "Yo, son, you don't know. You ain't from here. You don't know how it goes." The person of Latin or Hispanic descent would come to me and apologize. While the
Wayne, I
black
never said
people,
that. See, Wayne, you're not
I'm
listening.
telling
I
you,
never said you
I've
can't.
done
I
it.
never said you. Wayne, I never said you can't. I don't have this discussions with my family. In fact, I said quite the opposite. You're not listening. What I said, in certain settings, you can't bring stuff up. I said there's certain family members I don't talk about it with, but I said specifically, my daughters and I talk about it. Our household talks about it. We have vigorous conversations about this. But there are certain settings and certain family members where I'm not going to be able to have this conversation, have it go well. And I know for a fact that some of you have to know what I'm talking. There's zero chance that. Well, anyway, it doesn't. I'm not going to be more anecdotal because I just can't. I can't be more anecdotal than I'm being because it would be just overly share. It would be oversharing. But the point is, well, I think I made it.
I just gotta say,
Coco wants to jump in. So
I gotta say, since I'm being called a liar,
I am saying that. Yeah, I am saying in this case, you're not telling the truth.
From Dominicans and Puerto Ricans mainly, because Mexicans don't seem to. At least the ones I encountered in New York didn't seem to do. But Dominicans, and I worked at Wyckoff Hospital in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And
I'm not talking about jobs. But Diallo, I'm talking about. But you're not hearing it. But you're changing the context.
I'm talking about where I've been called a liar in the chat.
No.
Called a liar by you.
No, but I'm saying
but that's what I'm speaking to right now.
But I'm talking about it.
Speak to that.
But I'm talking about a certain context. So I'm not calling you a liar for that. I'm saying you said wait. Diallo, I said you were lying about when you said you were in my context. You're now talking about being on the job. I'm not talking about that. That's a very different setting. Been on the job. But that's a very different setting, Diallo. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not.
And I've been in social. I've been in social circles.
It's not social circles either. We're not talking about social circles.
I've been in the Cypher in Washington Square
I'm not talking about that either.
I've been in all those settings. And if it's family, they already know. I've already trained my relatives. But
again, so you're acknowledging you haven't had to do it in the setting that I'm talking about. So again, you're acknowledging that the context I'm describing is different from what you were. I appreciate that.
I'm not trying to speak to your experience. I'm saying that the whole time I was in New York, first of all, I was very surprised to find this. It was new to me. I had been going back and forth to New York since '91, and that was my first experience having a non-black person who wasn't a police officer call me the N-word. And I confront it, I challenge it at every turn. And what my experience generally was is that the black people would get hostile and try to correct me and get me to accept this. But the Puerto Rican, mostly Puerto Rican and Dominicans would step to me and be like, yo, I'm sorry. I see where you're coming from. And they were generally apologetic. So it's not even though I was willing to put my life on the line, because there was very rarely any type of hostility. It was often when I would articulate my position and say that shit don't fly with me, it would be an apology coming from the Dominican and the Puerto Rican person, whereas the black people felt offended that I would challenge them. That's been my normal experience. So it's not even saying that I did it because I'm so brave or I'm willing to confront any challenges or put my life on the line, because my experience has always been played out that way. An uproar from the mental black people and an apology from the offender.
Okay, I'm going to bring Coco up real quick.
Nobody's going to respect you more than you respect yourself.
Right, but just as long as we're clear that the context is different. But okay, go ahead, Coco.
Y'all trying to call me a liar. Then bring your non-black friends around me and have them use the N-word.
Oh, I wouldn't bring you to the setting I'm talking about, because if you actually did what you said you would do that I don't believe you would do, then I would feel guilty and I would feel responsible, so I wouldn't do that to you. So
I would hold you responsible.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that to you, but I'm so tempted because I know you. Well, at this point you probably would just make. But I refuse to believe that you would engage this way in the settings that I'm talking about. I just don't believe
by simply telling a non-black person not to refer to me as the N-word.
They're not referring to you as the N-word. But see, that's again the difference. See, again, they're not calling. That's what I'm saying.
The N-word around me.
You damn right. I don't believe you. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. 1 second, not where I'm talking about. But go ahead, Coco. Go ahead, Coco. Welcome to the show.
And I'm glad that I
told you where I'm at. I told you where I'm at. Go ahead, Coco.
Peace, everyone. Oh. Free the land. Free the land. See, that obviously should be the goal, is to free the land, and these nuances of how we do so I think are important. But Diallo, let me ask you a question. What determines who's who's black and African in the United States? Like what is the line and the determinant? Because I keep hearing Puerto Ricans, I keep hearing Dominicans, knowing that, you know, there are African people within the, you know, within the diaspora that are dispersed in various places or come from various places, who were raised here, right, in the United States, have black parents, have black family, right? And, you know, phenotypically might not look exactly how you think black is. Like so what determines someone as black and non-black? Where do we draw the line? That's because I feel like I'm not getting that in your argument. I'm not understanding who we're determining as non-black and black.
Well, first, I'd like to refer back to earlier in the conversation where I asked Jared about the racial breakdown of so-called Latin America. I also said that the words Latin, Hispanic, and even Latino, Hispanic, and even brown make no sense because you have the full gambit of race in Latin America and also the racial hierarchies that exist here in the United States in terms of whites on top, everybody else except blacks in the middle and blacks on the bottom. So I understand, fully understand. And that's why I don't like casting a wide net over anybody coming from that hemisphere because they are as diverse as we are here, and the distinctions are as well acknowledged there as they are here. So no, there's no people coming from Latin America are black, African, Asian, and every other race. So Latino is not a race, Hispanic is not a race. So the way I determine if someone is black is simply by looking at them because there's no way
Oof.
for me to know beyond that. So if it is a chance encounter just on the streets, on the surface, there is a black phenotype. There is a black phenotype. I have to go off of that. But if I have to be more technical and formal in my assessment, then of course I have to go through beyond phenotype and go through ancestry, lineage, and nation of origin. But if I'm just walking down the street and I hear a huddle of kids and someone says the N word, I simply look over at them and I look at their phenotype and make the conclusion based on that. And if I am wrong, then I would correct myself and make that apology.
So you
But
rather
I
create more enemies.
wow.
You rather create more enemies, right?
As if we
Than
created our
than
enemies.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just
I don't
saying
know
that, you know, if you
the black
if you
people that black
coming,
people
so
created.
are biracial people not black? Is my question to you.
It depends on what the biraciality
What
is.
depending on what?
On who the one of the parents is.
What you
If
mean?
you're Mongolian and Persian, no, you're not
No,
black.
I
What
said okay. So
biracial people?
it
There's
by
biracial.
people of African descent who are also mixed, right? Whatever
They're
they're
black.
mixed
Yeah,
with, whatever they're mixed
yes.
with, doesn't matter. If they are of Africa, I'm talking about people of African descent here. I'm not even talking about people who are mixed with a bunch of different things. I'm talking about
Oh,
people of African descent who have black family,
then they
right?
black.
Black
Then they
family.
black.
No matter, but where they come from.
They black.
So the Dominican Republic,
Yes.
they're
Dominican
black.
Republic. Not all Dominicans are black. Not all
Wait.
Dominicans are
I'm
white.
not,
Not all
but
Dominicans are
not
native.
all people in the United States are black. So we're not
And
talking
yes,
about that. That's not important
no,
right now.
Dominican
The
is not
question is,
synonymous with black.
the question is, people of African descent. This is exactly what I'm saying. People of African descent, right? From the Dominican Republic, from people of African descent from Puerto Rico, people of African descent, no matter what continent they're on. My question to you is, if they are mixed, are they black?
Yes.
They are. Why is it so then if you know that these people, right, there's nuance that I think Jared is probably trying to address here. There's nuance, right? Where there are a lot of people of African descent who have family who are black, legitimately black, but may not look like they black. And then you go and say, what do you say to that person? What do you say to that person? What are people supposed to say to people saying that I don't think you black? They're supposed to be questioned.
I don't go around telling people I don't think they black. Why would I do that?
But if you said phenotype, you're talking about phenotype.
So you're
in
ignoring
phenotype,
you're ignoring the trigger.
not
here.
Everybody.
You're
Not
acknowledging
everybody
the
with black
trigger,
parents
Coco.
looks the
Coco,
same.
I agree with all of that, but why are you leaving out the main trigger here?
What's the main? I'm talking about people of African
Somebody
descent.
using
I don't care.
the N-word.
But you keep lumping people who are Dominican
I don't walk around
you keep
classifying
lumping
people as I go around about my day.
But you're lumping people together as if
In
you don't
terms
have
of
biracial
the
people
N-word,
of
in the
Latin American.
context-
You acting
in
like Latin
context-
American people are not biracial.
No, I didn't say that. When did I ever say that? What I said was, Black people, we play ourselves when we think Latino, Hispanic, brown is something we can automatically hold solidarity with. Because south of the border, racism, discrimination, lynching, dehumanization, mockery of the African phenotype exist south of the border. And there are many people who are classified and conduct themselves as white south of the border. And when they come to the Northern Hemisphere, they all of a sudden become brown. And we think we got to hold solidarity with them. So my first question to anyone that wants to hold solidarity with Black people is, and if you're not Black or African descent, whether you're Palestinian or whether you are anywhere else, is how do you deal with the racism and racial discrimination within your own group? That's my first question to anybody that's not Black that wants to hold solidarity with me. I acknowledge that just like the United States, there is a rainbow. There are Asians. I met more Indians from Guyana than India. Most of the Indians I know are from Guyana, from South America than India. I know the distinctions, and I know the hierarchy, and I know the injustices, and I know the racism south of the border that we fail to acknowledge when we start talking this Black and brown solidarity shit. But I don't go around trying to dictate people's Blackness. I don't try to deny anybody Blackness or to bestow Blackness upon anyone. And I acknowledge that Africans appear everywhere. And most of us, like Dr. John Henry Clark says, the only difference between Black people here and Black people Latin America was a boat stop. There are our people, they are our brother, and they are us.
And I agree with you when there ain't no Latin American people who are gonna say the N-word, and I'm gonna be like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna check them too. Okay, I feel you on that, and I've seen it. Right?
I'm sorry. One moment. One moment. Sorry.
What's up, Jared?
Oh, my bad. I moved.
Jared left.
I removed the wrong. So what's up, Coco? Thank you for joining us.
What's going on? I just feel like there's a lot of nuance, like coming from New York, I feel like there is that nuance that exists, right? And so there are a lot of people that you may not assume or understand that I've had questions, right? I've known people who are light, like so light that you were like, they look like Latino, right? And you don't really know that they actually have Black parents or Black family. And so like, I understand that there's this nuance, right? And so
Latino is not a race.
Because you're in these
Latino
environments.
can be any color.
Hold on, Diallo. Let her finish.
I know that. Hello.
You said they so light they look Latino?
They light skin, but they physically, you just don't know.
How do you look Latino?
They're brown. How about they brown? You talk about brown. How about brown? Okay, brown.
Come on,
they look
Diallo.
brown.
Come on, Diallo.
Okay,
Come on, Diallo.
You're the one
Don't
who's
do that,
talking
man.
about brown people. You're the one who's saying that they white in Latin America and they come here looking brown. You said that they look brown when they come. They brown when they come here.
I said they're
okay. So what's brown?
I didn't say
you
they
talk
look.
about phenotype.
That was my question.
You talking about phenotype?
I said
you
they come here.
Phenotype.
I said they're south of the border. They're white, and when they cross this into the Northern Hemisphere, they become magically brown.
But there are some people who might all look the same. They might all look the same, but they might have Black family and parents. And but so Diallo, I think that nuance, I think that we can't necessarily understand or determine. We can't necessarily determine, right? I can't sit here and look at somebody and say, oh, you're black. I can't look at somebody and say, oh, I can't necessarily, not all the time. When it comes down to people who are mixed,
It's very funny to me because, like Dr. John Henry Clark said, racists have no problem figuring out who's black. Bobby E. Wright said, you know, the racists have no problem figuring out who's black, but we black people like, I don't know who black is. But everybody that wants to exploit us, lynch us, discriminate against us, they're very easy for them to figure out who black is. But then here we have, as black people, this discussion. I can't just look at somebody and tell they black. I wish that was the case. When we go in for bank loans, when we go in for business loans or for housing loans, when we try to move into certain neighborhoods or apply to certain
Diallo,
schools
but that's an important distinction that you're not, but you don't, but of course,
yes, David, yeah,
but of course, white supremacists, but of course, white supremacists and colonists. Peace. How are you?
Of course, my wife.
Trying to help. Hi, Coco. Hi, G.
How are you?
Of course, white supremacists are going to easily identify their targets for oppression. That's
and
not
social liberationist.
Okay, but that's not. But again, that's not the context. But do you understand that? All right, I don't understand why you're resistant to. There's the argument you're correctly making. And then there is the nuanced experiences in specific settings that analysis doesn't reach. So the pockets that I'm talking about, that I'm experiencing, these are not people who are at least they're not well versed in these histories. They're not in regular exchange with these contexts and the differences in their identity there versus here. What the specific context I was thinking of when I initially brought this up, and not realizing that I was going to be dragged out of my own context into an argument that I'm not making, was simply that in certain segments of these communities, the way people are being raised and encouraged to be raised, including within Black communities, is a disturbed version, is a disturbed reality that creates a kind of unity that is it's maybe based on a disturbed, it's based in disturbedness. But if you try to approach it from this analysis of the Clarkian analysis, or the analysis that either all three of us or four of us might hold, it's gonna be misunderstood, and it's gonna lose its value, because the initial response is gonna be, I know I'm Latino. I know I'm not Black, but I also have Black friends and family and children and in my community. And they, in the same way I almost hesitate to ask this, I don't know that you would argue in every setting when you hear Black people using the N-word with each other, that you would look to intervene in each one of those instances to try to have the anti-menticide conversation. And that's where I hear Coco's intervention playing a valuable role here, because in these settings, the distinctions between Black and brown, Latino, Hispanic, African diaspora, Black American are so in their minds blurred and in their experiences blurred that drawing out these
I understand, but
and I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying that in trying to intervene and make the points that you're rightly bringing, I would not be able in these settings to have a successful intervention without it becoming something worse. Right. And that's where I'm acknowledging now that specific setting and my specific nuanced context is not being considered here. It's not being addressed by you or many in the chat, and that's why I'm saying that the accuracy in your argument is being misapplied, and we're losing. Go ahead.
I was just wondering what the actual. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I was just wondering what the actual point of contention is here, because I was listening downstairs, and I don't really think that anyone here is clear on what the actual point of contention is. Number one.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, and then two, if I did hear correctly, it seems that, and I didn't want to misrepresent, but are you saying, Jared, that, or Dr. Ball, are you saying that if someone—
Please call me Jared.
Jared, are you saying
I can't
that
be arguing with your man like this and you call me
I know.
Doctor. No, I'm just playing.
I'm on team EYL. If someone does not phenotypically present Black, but that's not really even as much the point.
You got to get closer.
That's not even as much as the point. If someone doesn't identify as Black, if you ask someone what their race is or their ethnicity, because I think self-identification is really our best tool, I would imagine. And so if someone says that I am Latino, and you say, "Are you Black?" No, I'm not Black, Latino. And then they're freely using the nigger. I mean, why evoke a word and not say it out loud? So if they're freely saying nigger this, nigger, then is that not then a point where we should intervene and say, as Black people who identify as Black, right? Because that's going to be the best tool that I can see. What do you say you are? And so if someone says that they're Black, and then they're faced with someone who says that they're Latino and not Black, is saying nigger, should that Black person then say, "No, I'm sorry, you don't get to do that"? Or should they perhaps, for the sake of relations, leave it be because they don't want to ostracize or make that Latino person feel disconnected from them culturally? Because that's the point of contention, I'm assuming, but I don't want to assume.
So you're very close to being right. There's a couple adjustments I would want to make for clarity. One, I want, and I understand, but I hesitate to do this, but I have to. From their perspective, they would want to be clear that it's the A and not the hard ER. It's being said in a brotherly, comradely sense in exchanges with people who are using it to them as well. So it's in this sense, it's not being you're a nigger and it's a hard, it's not like that. It's like nigga, come on, nigga, my man, my nigga.
Right,
that's the thing. So that's the setting, brotherly. Right?
Yeah.
Now, what I'm acknowledging is I do not like it. I do not agree with it. I do. And in certain settings, do intervene, have intervened, will intervene. What I'm acknowledging is that in the specific settings, most specifically when I'm talking about my in-laws, family, and very deep overlapping, because again, we're not just talking about Latinos who are engaged in socially. We're talking about blood ties, children, marriages, overlap. Mm-hmm. In that setting, I'm thinking of the party I was just at. I'm not going to intervene. I'm not going to step into the middle of that and say this is inappropriate. This is meant to side. This is hurting the community. This is because the response, which is in past experience, will be you're taking it out of context, Jared. You don't know what you're talking about. This is how we get down. Get out of here. And then worse, you're intervening in a family situation that you aren't qualified to be in because you're an in-law or and so on and so forth. So that was the only point I'm trying to make. I'm not disagreeing.
Final clarifying question for me. One more clarifying question. So I guess that makes me think about you as an educator and me as an educator, and how oftentimes when there are difficult settings like that, if it is incorrect or if you don't like it, at what juncture is it appropriate to then just say with care and maybe even a little condemnation for those who are offending, to say, but it doesn't have to be a big blow up, but it could be an opportunity to educate. I've taken those opportunities in classrooms, and I wonder if you do too.
Of course, in classrooms, and as I've said repeatedly all morning, in private, in different social settings with my family, with my friends, we have extensive routine conversations about this, and obviously in the classroom. But I'm talking what I was trying to draw was a specific setting, and then extend from that a specific context in which these exchanges are happening that I don't think is being properly acknowledged here.
So the point of contention isn't whether or not it's acceptable. You find it unacceptable, and you find it inappropriate.
Correct.
But it seems the point of contention is in which spaces is it appropriate to call it out. So you're saying
I feel most effective and comfortable doing it, and where I've experienced in the past it not being effective. And
not that the spaces where you choose not to call it out doesn't mean that it shouldn't be called out or that it couldn't be helpful to call it out, but perhaps you are not the best person in that space to do so.
Correct, too. Fair enough with that, too. I've acknowledged that, too. That's exactly my point. And that's why I've been trying to say, And that's what I've been trying to say, where I find it frustrating, particularly with these anonymous folks in the chat, where you show any tendency to self-deprecation or failure, and folks want to run too far with their mouths. And I found that very frustrating this morning.
They'll do that all the time.
But and then in terms of the exchange with Diallo, I found it very frustrating that he is not willing to. I'm not hearing him hear this distinction I'm trying to draw. So
I think there were some misconceptions on both sides. I was downstairs listening and losing my mind. There were a few. And I think that sometimes when you're engaged in the heated argument, it's hard to hear the other person's point of view. That's why I'm grateful that Coco stepped in. I'm grateful that Geeche's back.
My side.
Yay, Geech. Okay, I take.
But I would still love to hear what I misunderstood and what I misrepresented in Diallo's argument. Because I don't think I've misunderstood or misrepresented anything.
More abundantly, I'm not here to drag you all back down to the depth, and I'm going to excuse myself. I just think that you're both making really, really great points. I can hear both sides of the coin. I just did not think that I did bring my book. I was going to share. I teach a class on difference, so I was going to share the definition of race because I just
hold up the book again.
It's the meaning of difference. And they have definitions for all of the terms. I'm like, can we get some operational definitions? But this is not a class. But I think anyway, I just wanted to, now Coco and Geechee are here, so we're all safe. I just wanted to just bring that point of contention to the fore, because I did not think that I thought that you both were kept missing one another. And it seems now that I can leave here and safely know that you both understand that the only point of contention is that you're saying that it's absolutely unacceptable. They should not be doing it. In certain cases, I'm more effective than others. If I understood properly.
You understood. The only thing I think you've misunderstood is that I've never not been clear on that. Diallo's the only one who has not been clear on that. So I don't agree that we've both equally misunderstood each other. I think there's only been there's been one gross misunderstanding. I've fully understood. I've not been understood. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Diallo has a wonderful wife. I say that.
He does.
I met her at the conference, and he has a wonderful wife.
I agree.
So it's probably time to go now. So we might as well don't get to the run sheet, right?
Yeah.
This is your fault, Geechee. But I do have you use some words.
Diallo, you don't have enough words. It ain't my fault.
Jared, I have a question myself.
Go ahead.
Where you use blurred lines.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I absolutely positively do not see an example where those lines are ever truly blurred.
No, you don't. Correct. You don't see that.
Yes,
right.
And I'd like to know where. Find that individual. Maybe you have an example of a public figure that we all have some familiarity with, where those lines are blurred.
The blurred lines that I was trying to describe is in the mind's eye of those in these communities who see themselves as interlinked and intertwined at levels that you're not acknowledging. That's what that's the point I'm getting at. So I wasn't saying I agree with it. I wasn't saying it's acceptable. I was acknowledging that it does exist and trying to work within that and recognizing my own limitations. So again, that's why I keep saying every time you question me and say something, you prove that I'm right, that you have not heard my argument and have been arguing something I have not been saying all morning.
Okay, but back to the blurred lines assertion. Because like I said, I'm acknowledging that's not been anything I've observed in my own experience or in my engagement with the history, with the culture, and with people outside myself and outside my community and culture and race. So I was just hoping maybe those lines do get blurred, because what I have seen is that every time there's been an instance where we thought those lines were blurred, going all the way back to African antiquity to modern history, when the fires start burning and it's time to pick a side, that those blurry lines become real clear and those walls get erected real quick. So I would like an example.
So seriously, you've never met a person born in what we call Latin America who's come to this country and been called the N-word or mistreated, and then they themselves have said, "But I'm black too." You've never experienced that?
Okay. Yes, that's not a blurred line to me. They're
How was
black.
that?
I know several black people from Latin America, several Africans from Latin America. I got friends from Cuba, from the Dominican Republic, from Panama. I mean, now that she's gone, I had a girlfriend just before I met my wife. I had a girlfriend, a black girlfriend from
Does
born
Reggie
and raised in
identify as black?
Panama, whose first language was Spanish, and had broken English, and she was, and her culture, her identity was Panamanian, but she was an African woman. So yes, I know that Africans everywhere. You know, I talked to this one
So
African
then
guy
that's
from
it. That's
Australia.
it.
Black people are everywhere.
So
You're
then
right.
what's
But I
so there
want
it
to
is.
know,
So
so
what's the
I don't
issue?
think a black person from Latin America coming here and getting immersed in the black culture of here is any more weird than a black person from the US moving to Latin America, moving to the Caribbean, or moving to, because damn, when I moved to Eastern Parkway, I got
What
fully immersed in West Indian culture. I was eating ital
what
food
race
and
what
listening to
race
roots reggae,
does
and I
Reggie
was fully
identify
immersed in their
as?
culture.
What
So
race does
I
Reggie identify
understand.
as?
I understand
Is
that. But
Reggie
so
black?
the
But
blurred line I'm asking you about, Jared, is a person who isn't black, who gets
What
blurred
about
up.
Reggie? Is Reggie black?
But the person I was describing, so the person I was describing anecdotally might often be described by you as not being seen as black. This is the point I'm getting at. But
I
from
don't
their,
care about if they're
but
black,
from
they're
their,
black. Let's just
no,
give that.
but
Do you have an example of a non-black person who blurs the line?
I would say no. Yes, I have. There's many, and I see them in their mind's eye. Their experience has created a situation where they don't see themselves, or they're not conscious of seeing themselves as being different from the black people they're sharing this N-word experience with. Now that may be wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not. I keep saying the same. Well, that's my
it
point.
starts with
That's my whole
children.
point. The fact that you can't acknowledge that you have met those people proves that we're talking about two
I've
separate
met
contexts
people
all
who've made
day.
that claim. I know
Okay.
of people in history who've made that claim, but I've never met a non-black person who's held to that claim, who's true, who's been sincere in that claim. I don't believe it's possible.
So
I don't believe
Diallo,
it's possible. And when I engage non-black people who says I've been so immersed amongst black people that I don't even know where the black person starts and I begin. I don't believe that, and I haven't seen it. But if
but
y'all can
Diallo,
introduce me to some of
my question to
them
you is how
non-black
do
people,
you,
I'd be happy to come on here and acknowledge that I was wrong.
if it's children, it starts, to me, it starts in youth, right? Most times, right? I'm not excusing anything. I'm just saying in youth, in children, specifically New York, right? Children who are immersed in these communities, their families, their friends, all of it is just very mixed, right? How do you overcome the fact that children are learning this at a young age and growing into adulthood and feeling, I feel that they should be corrected, no doubt. I'm saying correct them, do the correction. My question to you is though, how do we challenge the fact that children are feeling comfortable using it because that's their environment that they're growing up in? How do you challenge children? I'm not saying adulthood. I'm saying, how do you challenge children? How do you do it?
Researchers. Number
No,
one,
no,
you
no, no,
don't
no, no.
challenge
How do you
children.
physically go into the community and
I,
challenge children?
I
That's my
don't
question. How do
I
you
don't
do
go
it?
in the community and challenge
We know
children.
that.
That's
But
I
that
mean, like, I
but
don't
like,
even
how
think
do
that would be
people,
appropriate.
I'm saying you, and I'm saying the fact that we have to challenge it
I was
at a
going to
young
attempt to speak
age.
to that
That's the
question.
point. I mean, if you're talking about, if you really want to see change, if you really want to see a
I
change, you got
I
to
don't
start with
believe in that
children.
whole. I don't accept that. I do not accept that
You
you have to
you
start with
got to start
children.
with children. What?
Research has
I mean,
demonstrated.
we talk
It
about violence.
research has
Violence starts with
demonstrated.
children.
Research has demonstrated that children as young as 2 and 3 years old, black social scientists, as young as 2 or 3 years old, both begin to manifest racial hierarchical ideas and start to aggress along
Which is
racial
why you got to
hierarchical
start with
ideas. I
children.
did a
Which is
whole
why you
show
got
on
to
it.
start
The
with
report
children.
and the research is out there. So this whole
Which
thing
is
about
why
the
you got to
children
start
being the
with
children
children.
are literally products of the parents and products of their environment. So the contaminations, you can't just say, I'm going to allow the contaminations and the dysfunction of the adult world to dwell, and I'm just going to focus on the children. That
Nobody
does
said
not
you have
work.
to just focus on children. I'm saying you have to also focus on children. I asked the question, how are you going to work with the child? How are you going to challenge the fact that it starts with children? How are you going to actually challenge the fact that it starts with children? How are you going to actually challenge it? How are you going to challenge it? We're talking about societal issues. We're talking about societal issues.
The way I do that is by educating, equipping, and supporting my own children as they go into the world, because those are the peers. So since I have a 14-year-old in high school, I promise you, I don't care how blurred any non-Asian, white, a non-black person, I don't care how much they're blurred or immersed in the culture, can't no non-black person call my sons the N-word and not have. So the way we deal with children as parents is by training, equipping, and telling your kids, I will support you in this. This is what's right. And if you take this stance, and I'd love to bring the brother on, because I've had several conversations when he was basically the only black kid in his school, and the N-word was floating around his school, and they had to damn near up in that whole school district and shut that shit down. At least when he walks into the classroom, cafeteria,
again,
or out
very different situation. And we did the same thing. Our daughters have been raised the exact same way. Nobody refers to my daughters that way, but that's a very different. But that's it's just a whole different argument, though.
The way we deal with children is by training and equipping our own children and sending them into the world. That's the way we deal with children. We don't run up to other people's kids and telling them what they should like that if they're not really engaged in any type of harmful behavior. But
see, there you go. You just made my point again. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. We do the same thing. We have very intense conversations. We don't allow my children. Nobody is nobody refers to them in that way, and vice versa. And they're very clear. But they've also been, and we've also talked about preparing them for when they go into. Tie 313 is completely fraudulent and is about to get themselves kicked out, because I asked you specifically a question when you were talking trash about me. You didn't respond, so you were another one about to get kicked out. So, but Diallo's had more time than please. Diallo, get cut. That's so funny. But but this side, they've also been, our children have been prepared for how to recenter their self-concept appropriately when they're in spaces that I'm describing and the word is being thrown around in various ways, where they're not going to, in every case, intervene or find it necessary to intervene or feel comfortable intervening. So again, I'm trying to bring a context and a reality that is unfortunately been disrespected here today, and I'm not really clear why folks are not willing to even respect the frame that I'm sharing in the desire to sort of retreat into conventional and comfortable corners of argument rather than actually addressing what's been going on here. And I find that very frustrating. This has been this show today, boy. I'm not impressed with our chat. I'm not impressed with the level of argumentation. I'm really disappointed that Diallo, you just, in this case, it's been really frustrating not being able to have you really hear what I'm saying and take into consideration what I'm saying. And I wish you would, because in general, your argument is right. You definitely are not incapable. I just don't understand why today it hasn't worked. More so than usual, unfortunately. But I'm not going to say my verbal crutch. I'm just going to, I'm going to resist it.
I have to say, in terms, okay.
I mean, we might as well, I don't know, might as well wrap it. I'm not sure that y'all want to get
well,
into
we should get to the super chat. We should at least do that. If we're not going to, if we're going to stay on, I think we should at least respond. There's a lot of super chats that I don't think we've responded to. And they've been kind enough. Coco, if you want to hang out, if you can, if you're interested, that'd be great.
Wait a second. No, I'm going to say something to this person,
please.
CD, because CD thinks that they feel like it's they can just come in and continuously.
Oh wait, put that back up.
Sorry, my shit is slow. There we go. So we just pretending there aren't two people on the panel who have the luxury of opting in and out of blackness. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, CD is another one. I asked you, who are you? Who are you? Identify
What
yourself.
do you mean?
And
because
I don't know who
I never had an option. First of all, I don't have a white parent. I don't have a white parent at all. I don't at all. My class background is also something to talk about, right? So I've never had I don't have a white parent, right? And just because my mother is she's Puerto Rican, okay? And I'm never denying that, right? She's also of a specific background, right? And she's not white Puerto Rican either, right? She's mixed, right? So let's just talk about that, right? So I never had luxury of anything growing up, right? Like I never had luxury. The fact that, I'm too light skinned. There ain't none of that, right? I'm not white. I've never been white. I've never assumed whiteness. I never come from, and especially my history, my background. You talking a lot of shit, but you don't know nothing about me. And it's just like, it just makes no sense to me how people could just come out the ass and talk shit and they don't know nothing about nobody. Like, you don't know nothing about me. Period. You don't know the fact that my family is also derived here from enslaved Africans, not only here, but also in Puerto Rico. So like, what are you talking about, CD? What are you talking about? You continue, a lot of Afro-Latina, I don't even identify as Afro-Latina. Like I'm a new African nationalist, to be real specific, right? I'm a new African nationalist, to be very specific. And I walk around with my nationalist flag everywhere I go. So there is no, I don't dip in, and I don't benefit from nothing, right? Like I don't dip in because it's cool. This is who I am, right? I understand my history. I know who my family is. You don't know nothing about me. You feel me? But you got a lot to say. But you would never say that to my face.
With all due respect, Coco, I kicked them out. So they have CD can come back when they send me. They claim that they emailed me and that I know who they are, and I told them they can email me and identify themselves as CD before they can come back here. Similarly, Coco, with all due respect to you and your background and your experience, mine being whatever mine is, none of that's relevant to the conversation.
Facts.
What I look like or what I am able to pass for or not is entirely irrelevant to the conversation. So I'm not engaging with somebody I don't even know who you are. So I'm not, but regardless, even if I am able to, whatever I'm able to get away with is irrelevant to what we're talking about here. So I'm not, again, this is why I find this has been a really unfortunate morning for me. This is not the level I would have wanted. This is Geechee's fault for not having his equipment ready.
So it's something that's interesting. I know it's funny and everybody got their jokes and shit, but like, it seems like people are approaching this, people texting me or whatever, just like any other things in the community, like people just offering solutions. They don't even know the fucking problem, right? Oh, you need an Ethernet cable. Oh, they don't know what I did, what I didn't do. They don't know. Like, that shit is annoying, to be honest with you. But I understand that's how people are wired, to just throw fucking solutions at something that they don't know what the fuck going on. So, actually, I'm not gonna say that, but yeah, forget all that other shit. But we should wrap up, or I don't know. Well, I really wanted to get to the Reggie shit, but we already 2 hours in.
I'm happy to get to the Reggie shit. You did find something very interesting, but I did want to. I do think we need to acknowledge these super chats. The CIA going to study the stream and add tools for destabilizing liberation manual. Thank you, EA. ZZ Lion. Thank you, Dr. Mingo and Coco. The settings and social relationships is a contradiction. Both using the N-word is wrong. I don't think anybody has disagreed with that. Adding the de-escalation class fund for Diallo. We believe in you. There you go. Brandon, 1999. Thank you, Brandon. Happy birthday. Appreciate it. It takes a village to communicate with Diallo. Thank you for the super chat towards de-escalation. Another de-escalation fund for Diallo. Thank you very much. African period. Thank you. Much love, BPM. EA, thanks again. No one is arguing that. The point is that tough talk about checking the whole anti-black universe, no matter the context, is fantasy. EA again. When Fat Joe gets called on using the N-word, he says Farrakhan refers to him as a black man. He grew up with black folks in a room full of those people. Good luck checking anyone successfully. That's sort of the point I'm getting at, and I don't agree with Fat Joe being able to use the N-word. But that's, Thank you, Ray. Happy belated birthday. I hope it's a great time for you. Y'all definitely need a peacemaker, but finding agreement is a skill sometimes. I still ain't got my book yet. Still, hey, I'm all the books, all the orders have been mailed. So if you don't have your book, send me an email and let's double check, because I've sent out all the orders that I have. So Diallo, can I fund a retreat for you to take nonviolent communication training, specifically the part about listening? EA is spending a lot of money today. Haven't heard Diallo speak on diasporic Africans or people with black grandparents. Not sure why Dr. Ball feels attacked when he's being agreed with. When have I been agreed with and been felt attacked? I've been very specific. I felt attacked by people who have been saying rude shit to me in the chat today, and all of them anonymous. So I've invited them to email me and identify themselves, and we can clarify. And I felt attacked when I don't think that my argument is being responded to. It's always the same thing. Whenever Diallo and I disagree, it's always that same thing. I perceive he's not arguing my point, and he perceives that I'm wrong. Renee, thank you. Just saying, I don't like black people using the N-word either. It grates my nerves, and too many of us have been propagandized to believe that it can be claimed as a positive. IMO, it cannot. And HB, happy birthday, Jay. Thank you very much. And then lastly, Diallo, you never said the words, my fault, I wasn't listening to you. Anyway. Well, I did it again. There's my crutch. Thank you all very much for the super chats. What do you all want to do? How do we 12 o'clock, by the way.
Maybe we could set or y'all can carry on. I actually do have some other engagements this morning. Normally my Fridays are open, but this Friday. But I'm willing to come back with a special broadcast so we can actually run down the Reggie Middleton situation. I definitely want to talk about racism refugees, which is pretty much an old concept that has been brought back to the fore. And especially
racism
refugees, these people who think that, yes.
In North Korea.
Are you giving away the plot?
I mean,
stop with the
might
spoilers.
well. Give them something to want to come
spoiling.
back.
You got some good shit to drop, and I didn't spoil none of your shit. I could have pretended like everything you researched was mine because you weren't.
You gotta give them
you like that.
You gotta give them something to lure them back, because y'all might have ran them away. Y'all might have ran them away this morning, so we might have to drop some shit to bring them back. Kevin, we got Kevin Hart.
Oh, well, we didn't talk about Kevin Heartless.
Now
you. But like I said,
let's get in the chat. Let's get in our chat and set up the special extra EYL edition if you all want to do that.
Jerry, you said you got to 12 o'clock. What you want to get in?
Well, 12 o'clock we got. I'm joining Tonda Seedsway for root work to talk about this How to Blow Up a Pipeline film. So other than that, I'm flexible.
So let's do a little bit of Reggie stuff. How about that?
Diallo said he has to go though, and he wants to be a part of it. So that's why I was saying we got
9:30, maybe 10 is. I'm waiting for the knock at the door.
What time is 10 there now? Right?
Huh?
It's 9:22.
Oh damn! I forgot you behind.
Yeah, you're an international brother with a passport. I know you. I have to be specific.
No, I'm a refugee. I'm a refugee. Just like you said, you want to talk about. I'm a refugee.
Root work never went anywhere, James.
Yeah, I needed to get the fuck away from there, and just like the brother who left the military and he went to go to North Korea. That's what I'm doing.
I have some thoughts on that because I've had some people come for me, so I get to use that as a bludgeon against some people who have criticized me.
Or we can go to the Republican
really
debate.
I want to talk about it. I don't even care about the racism and injustice of it. I just want to use it as a cudgel.
Or we could talk about Kevin Hart and the liquor. What y'all want to do?
How stupid y'all are.
I mean,
first Cuddly Mike called y'all lames, and then next week Kevin Heartless called y'all stupid. Y'all better get it together.
Now hold on, because
we got not in that, huh?
No,
yeah.
He said,
we're not a part of that.
Call me a negus.
This guy.
So y'all need to stop being lame and stupid.
We got checked by Kim for not recognizing the ableism in that slur.
Which slur?
Ableism.
Lame.
Lame. It's disrespectful to the disabled. So we have to. So Mike was not only being rude, he was being ableist in his assault on us, and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. Look, no disrespect to Kim's point. I did not acknowledge that as an ableist attack on disabled peoples, but I'm often limited in what I catch. So I just want to add that to the extent that she's right and that's correct, I want to add that to condemning Mike for his disrespect of us, Mr. Render. I don't appreciate it.
Y'all gonna check me on that? Who gonna check me, boo?
And he said Mike had congestive heart failure. Oh wow, that's messed up.
You're not supposed to be laughing. Don't check me, boo. Listen, I know it's not appropriate to try to diagnose someone you haven't had an opportunity to clinically assess, but we can tell there are certain superficial characteristics. But I believe that congestive heart failure comment was in retaliation. And I don't think it's ableist to suggest someone has a chronic disease or has the potential pre-diabetic or has the potential to develop a chronic disease. I don't think that's ableist, but I could be wrong.
I struggle personally with labeling a term used as ableist, because I feel like a lot of these terms aren't actually used in the disabled community anymore. And so although they were slurs at one point, right, they're actually not used in the community to describe somebody's disability. So, I mean, I get that. I think that was an old reference. Like that was a reference that we heard back in the 90s. Like, don't call somebody deaf, or we don't use that, but we don't use it anymore. And so, to be honest with you,
is deaf a slur?
I don't catch it. People say deaf, dumb, and blind, right? Like if you were to reference something like you blind, you can't see nothing, you can't. But it's like, I'm not saying that you blind. Like, how is it ableist though? Like, I really struggle with this. Like, why are we really going that hard? I really struggle with that. Like, if I was saying to somebody who is blind what you can't see, that would be ableist. You feel me? Like, if I said to somebody who can't, if I said that to somebody who is blind, I would be ableist. But just referencing blindness as something like as a reference of you can't see, I just don't see that as an ableist. Like I don't really see it personally. I might get attacked in the chat. I
just always heard lame as you're not cool, not as in you're disabled in some way. But I get it. But I do get it. Or ineffective. I get it.
They saying I'm wrong. They saying I'm wrong.
They say you're wrong.
Somebody's saying I'm wrong. Somebody's saying I'm wrong. I need to connect with disabled advocates.
Papa Adidas, thank you. Happy birthday, Dr. Ball. All the best. Diallo, I appreciate the passion that you bring to the discussions. Sometimes it's the conflict that's needed in order to bring clarity. Coco, thank you as well. Big G, what's up? Papa Adidas, thank you. And shouted us all out. So my only issue is because I think I'm just concerned that Diallo has to leave any second. So I'm stuck in this limbo if we start addressing any of this other stuff or not.
I mean, Diallo, we could do a bonus with Diallo.
So tomorrow at 11, I'm back. So today at 12 with Tonda Seasway.
One monkey don't stop no show.
Tomorrow. Oh no, I disagree. In this context,
but I wouldn't be offended if a non-black person said that. But I feel fully comfortable and valid in saying it myself.
So I would be available if y'all are available Sunday. We could do something Sunday.
Lord's Day?
That's my favorite day to do something. The day the Lord take a break. He took a break. I'm stronger than you. I work all 7 days. Why the Lord taking a day off? It's like I'm just playing. But no, if anyway, we could get into in our chat group and figure that out if you all want to do that. And folks could stay tuned, make sure they've rung the bell to make sure that they are alerted when we do reconvene and then and everything else gets started here on the platform. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the platform however you see fit. Yes, it would have to be in the afternoon, Obi. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Whose comment did I take? I know, because we got business Sunday morning. Right? That's this Sunday, right? Yep. So it would have to be after our AAPRP gathering. But yes, ableism is more about how we use disability as a marker of inhumanity. Okay. We good? I also think that we let ableist shit go when we shouldn't, like telling fat people what they should eat or saying to a glass wearer you can't see.
Yeah, let's not be liberal about these things. Like, let's be analytical about these things. That's how I see it, right? Like, I think that there's a better way to, address these issues rather than just calling everything, just I don't know.
I prefer.
Yeah, but
to
Leah,
err
it's
on the
not
side of
here.
caution.
And at 1:00 on Sunday, we got warrior class. So BAP needs to come on here. Sorry, go ahead, Diallo.
No, I just in terms of this, especially coming from communities that I can't really say that I hold, that I'm a part of, that are making valid claims and requests. I'm down for questioning and critiquing, but until the conclusion can be drawn, I prefer to err on the side of respect and caution than to say, well, you gotta prove that I'm doing a bad thing before I stop doing this thing you suggest is bad. When it's especially something related to like ableism, sexism, homo or transphobia in terms of claims that people make on their behalf, because a lot of times people speak on behalf of communities that they're not a part of, you know. So yeah, I would prefer to hear from advocates, organizers, and members of a community about what missteps I'm making or what inaccuracies that I'm portraying. That's just me. Y'all know how cautious and sensitive I tend to be, so wrap my sweater. So
All
what you
right.
laughing for?
So to be
I didn't
fair,
say
CD
I didn't
emailed me, so I know who CD is, and I'm about to
And they
email
just
them and check.
and they just got banned again from the chat.
Okay, no, and I know, and they're whack. They're just as whack in the email as they were in the chat. So
Who is it?
Not nobody.
I'm not going.
Big
I'm not.
reveal?
It's not a big reveal. It's just somebody that at least identified themselves and having previously asked me to put them in touch with Dr. Turner. I'm glad I didn't.
And to Afra, I don't see everyone as, no, I'm not. You know what? I'm a yield. I'm not gonna say anything. I almost said something.
It's just disingenuous. I just this has not been my favorite day in on but so far. But no, it's not Killer Mike.
That's Cuddly Mike.
It's not Mike. It's not Mike.
Until Mike, like Mike said, he ain't willing to risk one crooked nickel. He's not willing to risk his money and his income and his status within the hierarchy. So he's Cuddly Mike. He ain't killing nothing.
He's soft. That's what you're saying. He's soft. He's soft.
He looks it, but honestly, I'm talking about not just his physical stature. I'm talking about his
his
ideological stances. They're very malleable, especially if you got the budget. So I'm gonna call that man Cuddly Mike until he takes a hard stance, until he actually advocates for killing some injustice on an institutional level. He's Cuddly Mike. So that's my position. But I don't know. I think I can go to another 30 or maybe 10, the latest. Geechee, can we get this out? I don't want him putting roots on us because he looked mad as hell.
Yeah, he did.
Nah. I'm
No?
cool. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm just
He definitely.
I'm in
Here come
observation.
the root. He about to put roots.
The root
You know
already
them
on you.
color people.
The root
See?
already on you.
I
That's why
told
you
you.
can't stop talking. I put a root on you to make you talk all the time. That's why you talk so fucking much. That's what the root
I'm
is.
glad you taking credit for that. I'm
Yeah,
free. I'm
it's
off
my
the
fault.
chain.
I'm the reason why Diallo got diarrhea in the mouth.
Rip me out the plastic. Now y'all heard him. It's roots on me. So that's it. I just been absolved of any blame.
Nah, I mean,
Thank
yeah.
you.
If y'all want to get into the thing, we can. But that's up to y'all. My package loss and latency is troubles out here.
So does that mean we're going to try to reconvene? We're going to set up a special EYL? Was that what I'm hearing then? Or are we going to push through?
Let's push through.
I think these are
okay.
some important items. I'd
Okay,
like to
come
give
on,
them
let's go. Let's go.
their time.
Who's going to bring?
If
So
that
we
requires
shouldn't.
us-
So we
I'm
shouldn't
saying
push
if that
through.
requires us to do a second time. Geechee, get these roots off me so I can stop stepping on Jared's lines.
I liked it. On the one hand, I want to do it while we have Coco here because I don't want to risk this. I don't want to waste this opportunity.
Let's do it.
But at the same time,
Nope,
I don't want to.
let's
I don't want to.
Let's
I
do
don't
it.
want to.
Let's
Okay,
do
I'm
it.
pulling it up.
Emails
Pulling
right
it.
now.
Yeah, I'm emailing too, Coco. I had to let one off too.
Welcome to crypto.
I'm
All right,
like,
Geechee, do you want to set this up? What are we doing here?
So
and we're not watching 16 minutes of this.
Nah. Go to I think it's at the 3-minute mark. Start at 3-minute mark.
Look at you with a timestamp. This is my
I
guy.
actually had I had a timestamp on my other notes, and now I have to refine it because I'm on like a whole nother computer. It's a lot of shit going on.
So this is the guy on the left that I had this exchange with this weekend. All right, here we go. The Black Bitcoin
But you
billionaire.
got to think about it. A lot of these accredited investors come from heirs or come from money that has been passed down. Well, when you have Black people whose property has been disseminated, whose value in their neighborhoods, which is where a lot of people have their wealth, is gone, where you don't have grandparents who could buy your life insurance at the time because they weren't selling it to them. Now you can see through compound interest why there probably aren't that many Black accredited investors. So that's another asset class that was very difficult for Black people to get a hold of. But Bitcoin is an asset class that appreciates based on its deflationary mentality, its deflationary concept.
So just quickly, the asset class language, the deflationary language, when he starts talking about there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever going to be in circulation. These are the talking points, the bullet points that they just keep regurgitating without any explanation. It's the Hill Harper talking points. Right. From before as well. Yeah.
Black people can access immediately. Matter of fact, you can get it right now in the Cash App, which is probably one of the blackest applications. Shout out to Cash App. Shout out to Cash App.
Oh, Cash App is black?
No.
The black is.
It
ain't just black.
That's the thing. It's so easy to get in, buy you a few coins, and keep stacking those sats, right? But that asset is
pause that.
Lamar's talking about Satoshis. Remember we were talking about fractional Bitcoin.
So stacking the stack, right? And I don't know if you remember with the young girl, they said that they was gonna give her some stacks. They was gonna give her Satoshi coins, and you have to get 100 million stacks to be one Bitcoin, which is still worth $26,000. And again, if they say there's only was it 126? Which wasn't 26 million? What was the cap?
21, I think.
21 million, right? And so whoever Satoshi is, they own majority of it. The US got some, Ukraine got some. So like the logic of these kids getting that type of money to even hold the Bitcoin so when it go up and down is silly. And then again, you need the value of the US dollar, which is $26,000 for one Bitcoin. You need that to even trade it in to have the money in the first place. So it's very, to me, it's very silly.
You can buy Bitcoin for $1 right here.
See, yeah, but one.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you forget all them details, man.
How much $1 gonna get you?
Well, and Bitcoin just went up literally in the time I've been on this app. Bitcoin has gone up over $10,000 for a coin, and literally just in the time I've been here. You said 26,000. Now it's valued at 27, and you can get $1. What percentage is that? We have to go to our living calculator, Dr. Jared Ball, the academic. What percentage is $1 of $27,000 and 27,054 and 64 cents? What does $1 make of that? What percentage of one coin can you get for $1?
My expert mathematical analysis concludes that it's the in the final analysis it's a small amount.
So 10 US dollars, 10 US dollars gets you 0.0000038 bitcoins.
I'm about to get rich.
So $10 is only going to get you 0.00038. So that $1,
I got
that $1 ain't going to get you gram or nothing. You can't even buy no drove with that little $1.
I got $8 in my Cash App. I'm about to buy $8 worth of Bitcoin, and by next week, I'm gonna be too rich to even talk to you, fools. What did he say? What did Kevin Hart call y'all? You lame fools. I'm gonna be rich with them.
Well, you stack the stack, and you stack your stacks like this clown says.
Feel rich. I'll be on par with white folks. White wealth, generational wealth.
And you can buy.
Well, Hill Harper said if you buy these Satoshis when Bitcoin becomes the dominant currency, everybody will have to come through us. So by the way, Jack Dorsey is the founder of Twitter, is the CEO of Block Inc., which owns Cash App. So that's the blackest app.
No, it's the blackest app.
Yeah. So is there more from this? Are we keeping going? Are we?
That was it. I just wanted to kind of go into that, because again, the idea, I know you covered this, the idea of Black people, kids, people with no money investing in Bitcoin, when the chances are nobody's going to get even one Bitcoin according to that number. Chances are people don't have $26,000 just to buy a damn Bitcoin.
No, and this is the point that we've covered here before. That first of all, the 21 million claim and saying that this is all that's ever going to be made, so therefore it's never going to devalue, is part of the mythology, because as they're sitting right there showing you, by selling it in the Satoshi level, if you can reduce one of these 21 million coins into one millionth of a size in a Satoshi, or 1/100,000th or whatever it is, then you are in effect expanding the almost endlessly the amount being sold, even though you're claiming there's only 21 million. You just keep infinitely reducing it and cutting it into smaller pieces, so you can continue to make more and more, derive more and more
like
investment.
It's shaped like it kind of goes like this.
Interesting.
As time progresses, and
it's not a pyramid scheme. It just goes like this.
I think it goes. It's shaped. It's kind of like as you speak. Just the way, if I was to visualize what you're telling me, Jared.
But it's not a pyramid scheme. It just goes like this.
So,
but
Jared,
it's not a pyramid scheme.
Do you have any relief that the courts, the New York courts, literally was saying exactly what you've been saying about Reggie, and he delivers himself in the courts just like he was at that
So I gotta say, when you sent this, I was cracking up because
all in people's business.
I mean, it's public, and
it's public record.
He's telling you to Google him.
I can't participate in this aspect of the discussion.
Well, anyway, go ahead.
I'm straight street.
He said Google him. He said Google him. So we Googled him.
He did.
So during our debate, he said that he didn't think he could say something in reference to this, and I wonder if this is why. So when you sent this to me, Geechee, I was fascinated that this is allegedly, a ruling of the Supreme Court of the State of New York, New York County Commercial Division, Honorable Jennifer G. Schechter presiding. I did look her up just to quickly check to make sure. I wanted to do at least some due diligence to check the veracity of this document. I will continue to use the word allegedly, but she does exist. This does apparently seem to have been a real decision from the end of 2022, December 28, 2022. Reggie Middleton Veritasium LLC, which is his platform, Veritasium Securities LLC, Veritasium Assets LLC, Veritasium Holdings LLC are the defendants. The plaintiff, Charles Hall, who I believe is a representative of the investors. But as it says here, in this derivative action based on credible evidence introduced at trial, the court finds that Reggie Middleton wrongfully caused patents belonging to Veritasium Incorporated, the company, to be transferred to and owned by himself personally in breach of his fiduciary duty of loyalty to the company. The evidence established that Middleton represented to the company's investors that the company had pending patent applications, and the investors were led to believe that they would be investing in a company that would own these patents. Indeed, the patent applications were filed on behalf of the company. The court rejects Middleton's testimony that these numerous representations were all simply mistakes or that the company was only supposed to have a royalty-free license. The quarter four report from 2015 leaves no doubt that Middleton was not making a mistake as he comprehensively addressed the value of the patents to the company. He made clear that the company had submitted patent applications and touted the beliefs of the benefits of having been the first to file. The court therefore rejects Middleton's contention that he had the right to personally own the patents. Additionally, regardless of whether Middleton had fraudulent intent at the outset, that issue is academic. It is clear that his current claim that he was really entitled to personally own the patents is nothing more than revisionist history proffered in an attempt to steal the company's primary assets for himself. His evasive and incredible answers to questions on cross-examination and his conduct resulting in the SEC consent order convinced the court that Middleton is willing to misrepresent the facts and render his testimony unworthy of belief, end quote.
Sounds familiar.
So the whole thing reads as familiar to me because, again, and I'm not going to, unless you wanted to, I'm not going to read more of this. It's a few pages, but this is essentially, go ahead.
Can you pull up the very fun link where the SEC set up a website for people who've been defrauded?
So also while you're pulling that up, so his first lawyer quit. The second lawyer died, and then the third lawyer, he said she was incompetent. But all of them agree that his ass don't have a case and he gonna lose. And in fact, when his lawyer died, the second one died, the judge already made a ruling. He tried to use the death to get a stay. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, we told your ass we already made a decision before he died. And so the dude would use a dead man to try to carry on his grift.
So again, so now what I remember from this case and why the Justice Department has set up this fund to help those compensate those caught up in Reggie's dealings. If you remember the debate that you hosted between us, Geechee, he kept arguing that I didn't understand the difference. I didn't understand the definition of cryptocurrency as a token versus a currency.
Right.
And he kept asking. And I think that was connected to this case here with his very, very token, which he was attempting to have people invest in for use on his platform. And was trying to have it not, and by defining it as a token, not as a currency, it would allow for him and others to operate in that way without the SEC oversight. The SEC said, no. What you're doing is, this is a security issue. You trying to get investment. This is you're not doing that. Pay these people back. Get these people their money back. That's so that was one thing. Then as this other ruling we just read through, at least some of, was saying, this is what he was arguing with me. That in almost the exact same way, this disingenuous, incredible, as they said, his evasive and incredible answers, quote, while trying to misrepresent himself as he did in our argument as the patent holder of something that was going to, and the owner of DeFi. Remember, he was wearing that T-shirt. The father of DeFi.
With his pitch on it. Nigga wearing a shirt with his pitch on it. Yo, you wearing a shirt with your pitch on it.
Ain't nothing wrong with
I know you present as black enough, but are you saying the N-word appropriately? I don't know if you...
Oh, my bad. I ain't black. I'm Gullah. I ain't black. I'm Gullah.
I couldn't resist.
So they said, they said he also had revisionist history. So he was up there, revisionist history pro in an attempt to steal a company's primary assets for himself. Dude, like that, I'm telling you, that dude is. But the funny
related to first his intentional misconduct that is not protected by the business judgment rule. I mean, so the business judgment rule does not protect corporate officials who engage in fraud or self-dealing. So I think the business right. I think that rule is meant to protect people who make an honest mistake or what could be deemed as an honest mistake. But they're saying he is defrauding consciously his investors and his colleagues. So they're saying you're not protected. You can't. Now, and I always think if the government is saying if you're too crooked for the federal government, good God.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should acknowledge the especially since the Reagan era deregulations and followed up by the Clinton era just how much illegal shit that is now legal. Like you got to go pretty far. You got to go pretty far to bring the SEC and these types of claims because this is the era of deregulation. This neoliberalism literally means no more government oversight, regulation, and restriction.
Right.
So you just to have the SEC on you like that is you got to be pretty far out there.
So the SEC, we had covered this also. That website, the fund was created because he was ordered to repay over $8 million in investment. So that's that one part, and then the ruling from this judge, this more recent ruling, refers to that point, saying the SEC ordered Middleton to pay more than $8 million in disgorgement and a $1 million penalty.
So he was lying so much. Like I told you, he tried to lie on a dead man, but the court said that how horrible his professionalism is and his abilities, his ethics is really low and distressing. And then they cautioned him that if he continued to make these frivolous arguments, he would be sanctioned and held in contempt. So like they literally is about to put him in jail. How stupid he was being in the courts. And you should have probably said that in your debate, and you should have held that sister in contempt who said that she ain't here to learn about money. She just want to know how to get wealthy. Like you should have just.
No, well, there was so much going on. It's not always easy for me. You can see even in trying to keep up with Diallo, I can't always keep track of all the flow of everything and address everything properly. But when you got three people and they're arguing and people in the crowd and there was a couple things I want to get. There was one thing that happened that I want the chat to help me out with. There was a claim, the brother who shows up in the red shirt to sort of defend me at one point in the video, he later argues against my point. When I asked the question, where in human history do we have an example of a colonized community circulating its dollar to get out of its oppression? He said the Koreans in Japan have done that. And he pulled up, he attempted
Well,
to
he also
is. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that the guy that mentioned the 4-minute mile?
No,
that was the other dude.
Guy.
That's
that was
the
the
point
other
I
dude.
wanted to get. He blew you up your spot. He got you, boy.
But we can come back to that. But I want to ask people to. I don't know enough about that example, and I was trying to say very quickly in the heat of the moment, like you're pulling up one blog post to tell me that Koreans circulated their dollar into massive amounts of wealth as a colonized population inside of Japan. I was like, I don't know anything about that, but I would need some. So if anybody has any information about that one way or another, please send it to me. I would be shocked to find out. Yeah, that's what he was saying. And I wasn't even clear if he was talking about North Korea, South Korea.
The Korean War refugees here in the States.
No. He was talking about, because he was referring to the Japanese colonization of Korea had led to apparently some Koreans migrating to Japan proper, and within that context, circulating their dollars in an economy colonized inside of Japan, and did so to the point where they were able to generate apparently massive amounts of wealth and overturn their relationship. And so he was saying
the whole Japanese economy is suffering from the whole damn economy is like what, coming up on 3-4 decades of stagnation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
so
pretend
how would
to know.
They pull that? They pulled off more than just. I mean, what?
Again, I have no idea, and it just seemed like such a random.
I want to hear when people talk.
Yeah. Now, but to your point, so he got me.
Work on myself.
So I will admit, in the heat of the moment, when he threw that whole thing about about the 4-minute mile, blah 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 blah, past performance is not a predictor of future. In that moment, I did struggle to come back with a quick and appropriate enough response. So I'm happy to hear what you would have said, or what's wrong with, or I'm assuming you're not arguing he's right. It was just a failure
No.
in that moment for me to
It's a
respond. So what would the
it's
response have been?
well, when you're dealing with historical precedent, whereas the 4-minute mile being broken is an individual achievement. I would have asked for a more accurate analogy or comparison when you're dealing with a large population. Because still, even though that individuals and several individuals were able to break the 4-minute mile, the masses of the people, because that's akin to using Jay-Z or Oprah Winfrey as an example of of black prosperity or what's possible for black people. So even though certain elite athletes, I think he kind of proved your point in saying that. That's what I was trying to
I
say.
see.
In fact,
Yeah.
saying that the fact that you got a billionaire, black billionaires and black corporations, or the fact that you got some elite athletes that can run 4-minute miles, still 99.99% of humanity cannot.
Mm.
So saying that record is saying it's best to structure a world or structure a society that will bank on the fact that most humans cannot run a 4-minute mile, and structure your society around that, as opposed to structuring a society or social relationships based on the fact that out of billions of people, a couple of dozen have run less. So I thought it was
But
funny
Jacques
that
make
he
a good
used
point
that.
here, though. Because when Jacques says here, but the 4-minute mile analogy is just a way of saying it can be done even if it hasn't happened yet. And once it
Yes.
happens, many more will do it. So that's why I was trying to respond
Yes,
by saying you're
and
not
black billionaire,
acknowledging.
before there was a black billionaire, now we can have black billionaires, and we have several black billionaires, but that does not speak to our collective condition. And that is the problem with using these outliers as a motivator, as an example, or even as a yardstick to measure what is possible for the masses. Does the
Right.
fact that how long down the evolutionary development or along the awakening of what can be done in terms of human athleticism, you cannot structure an economy or a society or a system based on the elites. He's still engaged in elitism and what is literally magical thinking. I thought that that analogy proved your point, because yes, humans can't run the 4-minute mile.
Let's
And
get
guess
into some
what?
more magical
Even
things.
after a human ran a 4-minute mile, still the massive bulk of humanity still can't win the. So can a black man get rich in America? Does that translate to all of us can get rich in America? A man ran a 4-minute mile. How does that translate? So I understand of things never happening before that can happen. But things that never
Yeah.
happened on a massive scale before can't happen.
Well, I think that's
Yeah,
why
and
the
that's
company is
just
called DeFi. DeFi, defying reality, defying science. I think that's why he called
well,
it.
but Big Man was saying this, the Bitcoin billionaire, Jay-Z's spokesperson. So so that's why I did the one point where I thought I came back with something somewhat strong was when I was saying that this analogy of the race is flawed, not in the potential for someone to break a record, but in his ignoring the fact that one of the participants in the race is running with their hands tied and their legs tied and weights strapped around their waist. And then it's being said to expect that person to break a world record. But yes, I think your way of approaching it would have been better. I just
Well, if you're interested in bickering as opposed to, yeah.
I did know. I mean, sometimes I think of the best argument on the way home.
So
Yeah.
here's a video of a white man and his pet. He has a celebrity.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
Yikes.
It
That's
looked like a
messed
pet
up.
right now.
Hold on.
What the
You have the
kink
length of this ad to correct that blasphemy.
Well, I'm just trying to show you that this video looked
That-
like a pet. A pet saying, "Look at my dog do tricks." That's what it looked like.
And just a quick update.
wow.
Anybody looking for CD to return to the chat, they're going to probably have to do it under an assumed name or another assumed name, because they just sent me another email that opened up with Dr. Ball, you are a clown. So I stopped reading at that point. I blocked them, erased the message. So I don't know how they defined my clownness or argued that, but they're going to have to come back under an assumed name to try to do it a different way later. Because
they're going to have to create 5 emails just to get in the chat.
Yeah, create another email to get back.
Let them stress.
Yeah.
Let them stress.
But it's true. I often don't read past the line if it opens up with Dr. Ball, you're a clown.
You got to put that at the end.
Yeah, you got to leave.
Let me put that in my notes.
You got to say, leave that. You got to start with the argument, and then that's why I'm saying you're a clown, Dr. Ball. Because if you open up with that, I'm not even going to read it.
Now, for future correspondence,
future correspondence, right. Make a note, call him a clown at the end. Yeah, there you go. All right, here we go. Are we watching this whole thing?
Celebrity Liquors has been a lucrative venture for those in Hollywood looking to branch out into the business world. George Clooney, obviously, Casamigos. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Terramana tequila brands, both in successful ventures for the actors.
The Uncle Nearest BPM special,
Uncle Nearest. Comedian Kevin Hart. It's actually on set with us. Joining us now on set, Kevin Hart, actor, investor, co-founder of the.
I've never had it. Yeah,
The Rock is nasty.
Go on and on and on.
That list is long.
And it's Gran Coramino Tequila, and with him, James Morrison, President and CEO of Global Brand Equities. Welcome.
Oh, wow.
How you doing, man?
Good morning. I like the bottle.
Clap or anything after you do it?
He's still entertaining. He knows his job, right?
Yes.
He knows his job. He knows what he's there for. He ain't there to
just say my name and not put no energy behind it.
We almost have a studio audience.
Yeah,
still performing. Goddamn minstrel.
Tell us, so I love tequila.
Okay.
I have said that, and I like it. In a margarita, I like it.
Him and Trump have the
way
same
it is.
makeup
Why this
artist
tequila?
and
Great bottle, but what's
So
the
pause
difference?
right quick.
Is it unique?
It's absolutely unique. I mean,
So I want you to see, like, when they ask serious questions, one of the few white boys who control everything is talking. The other one is the guy who owned what is it? Jose Cuervo. The other guy, that's the other partner. But the serious questions, he asked him. And then they asked a second question that was serious, and you could see Kevin Hart don't know the answer, so he just, the reason why I got into it, he just started, shucking and jiving, and then the white boy be like, well, the answer is, so just go ahead.
Well, after Kevin got everybody clapped up and appropriately energized, they went to the real spokesperson for the product to get the actual analysis.
Imagine, just do it. See how it feels. See how it just. That's just some weird
into
shit
a lane
to do.
that it's allowed us to dominate a lane of Cristalino tequila, a category that's relatively unknown in international markets. In Mexico, it's the fastest growing premium tequila segment. And when you look under the hood of this business with Gran Coramino, you soon find out that the foundations are there to build a long-term generational brand within the industry. We've partnered with Juan Domingo Beckman, the king of tequila, 11th generation tequila maker, largest agave grower globally. And he's been able to help us create an incredible liquid at a new standard of quality and give us the production, distribution, and sales muscle that we need to create a long-term business opportunity.
I love it, James. So well said. So well said, James.
Supportive
Where is
partner.
that man's eyebrows?
Premium tequila is kind of crowded. Was there any discussion of anything else? Any other?
He ain't got no eyebrows.
Listen.
When you say kind of crowded, I mean, you're talking about the world of alcohol in general.
Imperialism.
Right? So when having a new product, you have to have a reason, you have to have a why.
Right.
As a guy who's embraced and loved tequila for quite some time, I don't want to be behind
It's
something
not even
that I'm
answering the
gonna
question
drink.
at all.
So getting in this business was something that I held off for a while because I was waiting for the right opportunity.
Looked
the
like
right
he getting
alignment.
high on his own
James
supply.
Came along, Juan Domingo Beckman, like he just mentioned, presented himself.
That's how you talk to
in a
Europeans.
place not only be a partner,
I mean, the way
but
he-
to
No, he do look drunk.
basically
He do
put
look
me in
drunk.
a position to
Right,
have
it
a
was like
long-term
that.
Trying to fit
goal,
in,
and that
code
goal is
switch.
generational, like accomplishment.
should have put him in a
Generational
tie, too.
Real wealth was something that
He's
we
a
built
big
from the
boy,
ground
too.
up.
He's talking about
That's what I
generational
want.
wealth, but he don't even control it.
He just used the phrase generational real wealth after we just
Trying to sound
heard this white man's
sophisticated.
investor, the what is it, a
Jose
Jose, a
Cuervo.
Spanish
I
investor, the other company, whatever, Jose Cuervo, the other, it's like who's generational wealth, Kevin?
I think if he put on a tie and shaved off his eyebrows, he'd blend in better with the
So watch
The
Susan
white
and his
boy.
Susan he finished
I don't
talking.
want
Watch what the white boy do.
Oh, well, let's get something quick and let's do it and get out. I would love to have something that's on shelves for years that my family can have and really stand on.
It's so obvious he's making this up as
You
he
know
goes
he don't
along.
sound like that when he talks to black
Is a
folks.
product
Off
that we
the
built that's
dome.
based
No,
off
he
of a
calls black people
celebration of
stupid.
your journey, celebration of love, and hard work. So it's a true definition of myself, and I think your everyday individual. It's something that we all can grab and basically embrace.
His pet do
So,
tricks.
to your point, the competitive landscape, there's over 1,000 brands
Pushing
within
poison
the
into our
tequila space right now.
communities.
Our first year last year, we have created a spot within the top 5%.
You can stop there.
It's
That's
the
the real
most
answer.
successful premium over $50 launch of a spirits product category wide in the last decade.
How long are you looking to get into this?
You said stop there?
Yeah.
Product of Eugene. Oh, there's a white dude with eyebrows. God, thank you for pausing on him and not the other dude.
Big
That
and
guy looks
bushy.
like a product
Big
of
and bushy.
eugenics.
So again, like so there's actually one interview where that guy is doing an interview and they're asking him about celebrity brands. He was like, well, he didn't even mention Kevin's name because he did something with A$AP Rocky, Post Malone. He done this multiple times. And Kevin is just the latest trick dog, right? But when you see Kevin answering questions, it seems like Kevin is doing more than he's actually required to do. So he's showing up at meetings, he going to different places, and he infusing himself in the conversation like that. Like they'll ask him a question, and this dude answer a whole nother question, and then they have to answer the actual question for him. So what I saw was like literally like, look at my dog doing tricks. Like look at this
mascot, right? He's a mascot.
Yeah, which is interesting because again, even when you see I edited a clip earlier where he says, buy my shit, buy my liquor, right after he says black people gonna waste their money on liquor. But even in that interview, it's like, yeah, this is my bottle. Yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, we got two different brands. And so, well, where can you buy that? Oh, at the ABC store, literally who was doing the interview. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't think people are spending more time and listen to what he's saying as opposed to, oh, that's Kevin Hart. He's funny. Oh, he got a brand. They're not really listening. There's no way that you could be listening to any of the words that the brother is saying.
And check cashing places. You know why? Because they know that the people in the hood aren't smart enough to open up bank accounts.
Hold on, let me read. I gotta restart it.
And check cashing places.
Oh, that's where
you know why?
started.
Because they know that the people in the hood aren't smart enough to open up bank accounts. They're gonna get a check, they're gonna cash it, and it's a liquor store right next to it.
Where can you find Gran Cormino tequila?
Oh my God, ABC. I mean, is there a better place?
Now do me a favor and buy my shit. Buy my shit. So you're gonna get your check and you're gonna buy this liquor, and then you're not gonna have no more money. Let's just put that around them. That's how we keep the poor poor.
Why don't we do a tour together called Don't Be Poor Tour?
When you really break this stuff down,
black folks business.
after talking to people that break it down for you, it just changes your perspective. When you talk about, people that are less fortunate, once they understand how to possibly become more fortunate, then we'll see more change. For me, it's dealing with Chase. I'm with JP Morgan Chase. I now have a deal with them, and that deal is to go back into the urban communities and educate these low-income households and these kids on finances in a way that they've never been. That's a step. It's a step in a direction that nobody else has taken.
You do it, ho!
I think it's part of his contract.
Hoes is your friends. Hoes is your enemies.
Has to sit in a high chair so nobody's feet touch the floor. Because why are they sitting in them highest chair? Because if it was a regular chair, I think that's part of his branding.
So I think what's happening right now. So if you pay attention, you can see what they did and why they use Kevin. Because now they got this deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. They said they know Kevin is blooding with the Eagles, so now they just struck a really big deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. And so when you look at the role of these celebrities, it is to get the influence, sell to the same poor people that he called poor, but also I need you to say a word in for me when we deal with the Philadelphia Eagles or whatever. but also like obviously people gonna come Eagles tickets. They're gonna go shop at ABC and they're gonna buy liquor, and Kevin gonna get a little kickback. And the generational wealth, like you said earlier, is
But
gonna go to
anyway,
those families.
prominent or leading blacks being held as corporate mascots and spokespeople, that's nothing new. But the part where he talked about black people are not smart enough to open bank accounts, and we go to check cashing spots and then go to a liquor store across the street is the source and the core of poverty. And we could get rich if we understand that we don't, if we could comprehend that being poor isn't good.
Mm.
I mean, that's more outrageous than slapping your face on some white folks logos and pretending it's yours.
No, and Geechee, I love the way you edited that. That's perfect because it puts visuals to what Diallo was just saying about the contradiction, the hypocrisy. All you gonna do is ignorantly run off and buy liquor, but buy my liquor.
What you think,
I'm
Coco?
gonna get with this white man to teach these ignorant fools how to get their financial literacy.
And we really need to
Well,
confront that contradiction. Cue Coco.
well, I think, you talk about generational wealth, but you really not for your people, because first of all, you pushing poison into your community, and and then you profiting off of that, and then you're encouraging that people spend their money on liquor that is obviously, again, poison, right? It's poison in our community. But I don't expect any different from these capitalists. I mean, Kevin Hart is a capitalist, just like Jay-Z. I mean, that's what they're here for, to create or continue these contradictions.
But Jay-Z
But
said when you call him that, you're calling him the N-word. So this whole day is all related. All the conversations are related. Because he's.
But I remember during COVID, right? Like in New York, everything shut down, but the liquor store was always open. The liquor store was always open. It was like the essential. They didn't even, the 99-cent store wasn't even open because it wasn't considered an essential store, but the liquor store was essential, just like the grocery store. And I found that to be like, I felt offended by that, right? Like, because it's like, you want people to stay down, you want people to be drunk, and so that you can continue, right, to push them down. I mean, that's to me what liquor stores represent, just more poison in our community.
But I also wonder if, like, because they said before that Kevin Hart said some shit that made his corporate sponsors or his suitors upset and then fucked up the bag. Well, wouldn't this kind of be the same thing? Like, he's literally selling liquor and then he's trying to convince black people not to buy liquor, which is the audience. And so even with Grand Cormino, it says they're about bringing people together, building community. Ironically, building community around liquor. And so Kevin Hart, he was brought in because his love for tequila. He bought liquor, and that's why he's saying he's there. Right. Love liquor. He's a liquor connoisseur.
Well, I think that's the problem more so than anything. Probably the most damaging thing he did than even promoting liquor, because we know drugs and alcohol are consumed at a much more higher rate in the majority dominant community than it is in other communities. I'd never seen drug until I was shipped off, until I got kicked out of the public school system and was forced to go to a private Catholic school. I'd never seen the level of drug and alcohol consumption in inner city schools than I saw in this white school and amongst the white students. The reality is the real offense is saying check cashing and liquor stores are the source of our poverty. That is extremely harmful in that it is a reactionary, surface, symptom blaming position. When you identify the symptoms, I think if every liquor store in the hood was closed and every check cashing place where I've been in fortunately in some cities, the check cashing and payday loan places in this city have been greatly limited and regulated, not to the extent they should be banned, but they've been limited. But that is simply a symptom. And a lot of times, even if the liquor and the check cashing spaces, and there are so many techniques and methods that they use to suppress, undermine, and exploit us. When we start focusing on particular techniques or tactics or buildings as opposed to the larger symptoms, we just keep what I say, what I call atrocity hopping. Okay, we got the liquor store shut down, or you find you shame enough black people into not using into opening up banking accounts, and you go from being charged exorbitant fees and interest for cashing your check, and you get into a bank and you start getting all these predatory fees from having a normal bank account. Because when poor people bank, in the overdraft fees, banks make more money off of illicit fees than they make off of what they told us in loaning out our money and collecting interest. So as a poor person, it's not because they're stupid or not smart enough to open a bank account, but they understand if I go to the check cashing place and they're gonna take $20 to cash my uh, $800 check. But if I open a bank account and then I get overdraft fees because my income does not keep pace with my bills, then in 1 month out of one check, I can pay hundreds of dollars in fees. So it has nothing to do with black people's lack of intelligence. And a lot of things that on the surface to the dominant society, middle class society look stupid is actually black people making actually calculated and reasonable adjustments and using reasonable tactics to navigate poverty and oppression that other people condemn us for. But the oppression is caused by the people Kevin Hart, the man Kevin Hart was sitting on the lap of that man without the eyebrows. That's the source of the oppression. And
It's also, by the way,
it's treasonous for him to call liquor stores and check cashing spots the source of our problem and poverty.
It's facts. It's just quickly. I just wanted to add. It's also, by the way, that it's not just the fees, but it's also that a lot of these bank accounts have required minimums. You got to have 500 in there all the time. Right. You got to have 300 in there all the time, and a lot of people can't do that. They're like,
Kevin Hart knows this.
And Kevin Hart absolutely knows
this. But
he
has to say shit that validates his paymasters' illusions and lies. He knows it. Kevin Hart came up. I'm sure when did his mama get her first checking account? When he brought home his first Hollywood check? These Jay-Z's and out of Marcy projects, they understand why black people use check cashing as opposed to banking. It ain't because we got poverty mentality or we're not smart enough. We know what a goddamn bank is. And in fact, like I said, find me a CEO that can manage a household full of your children and grandchildren without any support. Find a CEO that has better money management and resource management skill than my poor grandma in the project. It's a goddamn lie that black people mismanage our wealth, and that's why we're poor. That's a goddamn lie. We manage what little resources we have better than I put our resource management against any community. What we have a problem is a theft. We lack the skills of thieving and exploitation. That's where we lack skills, not management and budgeting, but thieving and imperialism. That's where we fall short. We ain't got nobody to steal from.
No, but I think that's also the thing in terms of imperialism or even the environment. So I don't know if they like covering up a whole lot of stuff, but even with Jose Cuervo, the land that they occupied, and also the guy that they're in business with, he's been in it's 11 generations in. But also it's causing a lot of hazardous soil erosion because of the way in which they're growing those plants and then the rate of which they're growing it. So when Kevin increased the business, that means more land is going to get destroyed. And so impoverished communities in Mexico and in the black community that he's supposedly selling the liquor to. But I think one of the things that I wanted to show, did y'all see anything, clips from the Republican debate where Nikki Haley told that she told the businessman, she said, every time you talk, I get dumber. She said,
I actually gotta I really want to get into the Republican debate, but I gotta bow out.
Yeah, we got to wrap. I got to wrap up.
I
Any,
do appreciate y'all.
yeah. All right, I appreciate you. Thank you very much,
My
Diallo.
first time on screen with Diallo. It's been great, Diallo. I appreciate
All right.
you.
Was
Thank
this
you
the
for
first?
coming
Oh,
here
wow. All right.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. We've been
All right.
behind the scenes though. We've
Yes.
engaged in IRL.
Did Coco came in to try to moderate the
I just had a
words?
question, but it didn't really come across. So, Diallo don't let nobody ask
Coco
no
be hating
questions.
on me in the comments.
Yeah, he don't. Yeah, Diallo don't
I
hear
don't be
questions.
hating. I just be
Diallo,
going hard. I get it
Diallo,
sometimes.
lift the speaker up and turn to the camera. Let me do like this. Oh, I was
Watch,
checking.
you can do more roots.
No, I was checking for a hearing aid, but we cool.
Ableism.
No, I was just check. That's not. I'm just asking. I was just seeing if there was a hearing issue. That's why you don't let me ask.
I'm almost 20 minutes late and I ain't even left yet. All right, y'all.
Peace.
Let me know if we're gonna do a makeup show or however y'all want to
All right.
make
We'll
up
check the chat.
for Jared's hyper focus on the N-word this morning. If we can make up for what he did to us today, let me know. But I have to leave on that.
All right, last word. The Bobby E. Right way. Nah, I just had that clip of Nikki Haley calling him. Oh, not calling him dumb, but saying he's every time he talks, she gets stupider. But yeah, we can wrap.
This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say because I can't believe that here you've got a TikTok.
Who was she talking to? Oh,
I didn't know she was running.
Vivette.
I didn't know she was running. Wow.
Yeah, but so I wonder. I did watch the comments of the people who was looking at your video with the argument, and it's the same thing. Oh, he's just socialist. And so I wouldn't listen to him because he's a socialist and an atheist and all this other thing. So I asked the brother, could you define capitalism or socialism? And you're like, you just changed the subject. He's I don't go back and forth with people on the internet. I'm like, how the hell I'm gonna be talking to you if you're not, engaging in internet chats or whatever. But even when you think of people like Nikki Haley, like they spend most of their time talking about communism and socialism. They're like, oh, Biden is trying to take us to a socialist country. And I'm not saying that this is the sole reason for people to misunderstand socialism, but it's like all over the place where you having this ideas of people think Biden or stuff like that is socialism and how bad it is and all those other things. But most people can't really argue the point of what socialism is. I had one person who told me he don't want somebody getting paid for all the work that he does. And I'm actually like, what the fuck you think happens in capitalism? And he just, couldn't really, I guess, have that conversation. So
to be honest with you, like I struggle with, the idea of socialism, right, without organization, right? How is that even possible to be socialist if we're not even organized in order for us to be socialist? And I understand we have to work towards socialism, but unless you undermine all of what exists, socialism is not necessarily it's not going to happen. We have to be organized in order for us to actually get to that level. And so there's no way that anybody's socialist at this point. I mean, yes, you could do socialist acts, but there's no system of socialism with the current system. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, Jared, when you think about the Lamar and Reggie and who the other guy seems like the idea about individual wealth and collective wealth, but do you begin to stop and say, do we have the same language? Do we have the same definitions? Because at this point, I think people just arguing and believing things that they really don't understand or even just couldn't.
No, in those moments, I've never had a successful exchange. I mean, at the point where it gets to where it was at that conference, at that exchange, no. And what my real problem is that I don't think that folks they're not engaging in any, they're not being genuine. So it's the same thing that frustrates me with well, Diallo, I don't think is being disingenuous, but like the frustration with some of the chat, it's that I can't identify if people are engaging in a genuine attempt to critique, investigate, learn, build, or if they're just trying to get shots off. And then as we saw at Howard University this weekend, the hustle is more important than an honest assessment. So I can't even get to the point. Like I would try to say, well, what do you think that means? How do you think the economy works? How does wealth get created? What does capitalism mean? What have you ever read about socialism? And it's either avoided or the response is simply, as you said, well, I'm not here to argue all that. I'm just here to argue about how to get this money. Well, I mean, it's Noble Brown. Good gracious.
He be dropping he be heavy.
Dropping.
These MFs not only pulled up the ladder and burned it, now they're selling you rope that has a whole bunch of cuts and dry rot. They're stealing from us, and it makes it worse than the white folks. Great to see Coco and y'all with the new internet. Yes, have a great weekend. Love BPM in the chat. Thank you very much. Maybe we could get internet with that kind of support.
So Coco, I'm glad you made that point, and this kind of leads to my question for you and Jared. Jared, I do think you and Diallo went soft on Mika when she came. It was kind of because there's this idea of like left, radical left, rigid left, and y'all just kind of was joking and organizing. But apart from that, being in being in the U.S., how do you suppose or suggest that people can build like a people-centered political formation? Right? We talk about block voting and after party and black voter. Like from the position that we're in right now, how do you think we could, I guess, get to that type of collective political formation? I mean, obviously, I know organizing, but
I honestly don't know. I don't have a good answer. I'll defer to Coco if you have something. I don't.
Gotta be organized. I mean, like that's the thing. Like we don't even build relationships. How are we gonna even be organized when we can't even build relationships with the people down the block that have the same problems as us, right? Like we don't like people don't even, and it's interesting. Like, New York is different than where I'm at here in Atlanta. Like, I could walk down the block and some people just don't want you talking to them. Right. But then I could walk some places and they offended if you don't even say hi to them. Right. And so like, how do we navigate this? And when online social media, everybody's been, so distant from each other, like, and now and obviously the trolling, right? Like you feel so defensive every time you walk out your crib because you got to deal with all kinds of nonsense. And then thinking about like Kevin Hart himself, right? Like he's poisoning our communities even further by promoting all the nonsense that he's promoting, not just the liquor, but the mentality. And so everybody's out for self, right? Everybody's out for self. So that's what they want. They want us to continue to be out for self, right? These individualist ways of thinking. And if we're continuously if it's only about me and mine, then we're not going to ever, the politicians are going to exploit that. And that's what they've been doing. They've been exploiting that. So how can we do anything? Well, we have to be outside. We got to get offline. We got to get organized. We got to get organized. You got to organize everywhere you're at. You got to organize with your schools. You got to organize with your community. But, I think it takes a lot more effort. And I don't.
So I guess I'm starting to concede more to Ricky's argument about the inability to use social media in any capacity. Because even one of the things, I talked to Mika after your interview, and I was explaining to her how, again, when you think about how we engage politics and we focus on people, personality, and parties, and most people can't articulate public policy, like her being on Twitch and that being a heavy part of her campaigning, it creates a cult of personality. Even us, when we're online, like people just only rocking with your personality. Oh, and and even when you and Diallo are arguing, people who like your personality, people who like Diallo's personality, that's the lane they're gonna stay in. The only thing they're gonna hear is what Diallo is saying or Jared is saying. And like, so other than the what you call the people, not the grifters, the trolls. There's the trolls, but then there's also like the cult of personality, and there's really very few people in the middle who I guess can use what is being done online to, I guess, help them, inform them?
Online is so limiting, right? Like, think about it. Like, you know, you got some people who are on Twitter, right? And they gain their personality just based on some conversations on Twitter. And it's so fake because, first of all, who are you actually engaging, right? We have people in the chat, trolls, people that we don't even know who they really are. They could be white and using the N-word in the chat freely because we don't really know who they are, right? And so then we create these environments. These are false environments. These are fake environments, pretty much, right? And then you have, again, like you said, these personalities. People are building personality based on fake stuff, fake information, fake energy, right? It's not even real. And so the people that we are outside with, we can't even engage with them anymore because we're so used to being around fake. Everything's fake, you know? Like the person that was on the Remix Morning Show the other day, Jasmine, right? Like, she just wants to be president just to, I mean, I just didn't understand what was her point or their point, whatever. I don't know their pronouns, but what, like, I just didn't understand the point. What was the purpose? I'm just going to be something because I feel like it. I'm just going to say things just because I feel like saying it. What's your purpose? Where are you actually doing? Where are you actually impacting the people? What is becoming president actually going to impact the people? It doesn't impact nothing. It impacts nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? You don't even have enough people in Congress that would back you up. So what is their nomination going to do for the people? Absolutely nothing, right? But people want to spend their time, their energy, and resources engaging in these spaces and getting their information from these spaces at that, right? Because they're like what's real is outside. What's real is like what we're going through, you know, and you know, I just struggle with all of that.
So the push and the run towards artificial intelligence is a crutch, or would you say that's kind of in line with the problem that we have?
I mean, we are controlled people. We are colonized people. We are letting them colonize us continuously. AI is colonizing us now. Fake AI, right? Fake AI. I don't even know what's real, to be honest with you. I don't know whose books are real. I don't know whose blogs are real. I don't know. Like, you can go on and look for, like, we talk about Googling stuff, right? You can Google something and land on a blog, and I guarantee you AI wrote that. And you don't even know what's real. You don't even know what's real. And all the blogs, they all say the same exact thing. They all say the same exact thing because AI wrote it. They didn't actually write it.
Except hood communists. And
listen, good people. I don't want to cut it off, but I need to jump and get ready for this 12 o'clock. But if you all can continue on, I'm happy to have that. But I need to jump and get ready for this 12 o'clock.
We're already at like 3:30 anyway, so we cool.
Okay.
Let's go. We wanted to chop some more. But we can wrap up.
We good. But I just think, I appreciate you, Jab, and Geechee. I appreciate you.
No, thank you. And I think you should come back as often as you're available. And I love when you jump out the chat but
people got me off my square today. I don't know.
Me too. So I'm gonna go take it. I got off my square the way I haven't on here maybe ever. But in some way we need to No, but we need to draw some lines because I need as I invited this person in the email, like, you don't have to be here. Like, if being here is only to be hostile, or if I'm that upsetting to you, peace. You know what I'm saying? You know, move on. We good. Like, I don't yeah. And if anybody feels like that, you know, I'm very easy. If
and they BPM, would never do it in person.
I doubt it, but but even then, you know, it's all good. If people want to,
what was disrespectful? What is he talking about? What did I say disrespectful?
I have no idea. Did you address Anthony?
I don't even know who Anthony. I mean, I saw Anthony. But I don't know who that is. I wouldn't. Oh, was that the person who I pull up who said something about earlier? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't appreciate being compared to Tyrese though. I'm offended by that too. This has just been a rough day for me. From Tom Joyner to Tyrese. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate it. Not one little bit.
How you gonna act like that, Jared?
And that's sort of the real underneath it. I tell a buddy of mine all the time. Underneath it, what really upsets me, second to the political disrespect, is people are messing with the humor, man. I don't mind a good joke. I sit up here. I'll take a good joke. We can have fun.
It's hard to read. It's hard to read jokes in text and chat. It's like, you know.
Nah, but you can tell. You can tell when I can sometimes. I'm often good at telling when somebody that's not. They're not trying to be. They trying to go where they don't. They know they shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
And especially if we don't know who we. You know, if I don't know you, Anyway, whatever. I don't want to. I've already feel like I've done too much to be like streets. All these other folks. Yeah, these online streets are rough. Streets. Yeah, see, here we go. Tyrese already done ruined my life. I told you that when he sang that daggone Coca-Cola song on the bus. My life been over since then. Now I'm getting compared to him in a negative. That's just shame on you. And on that note, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna refresh, and when I come back with Tandi C's way, everything's gonna be better. Coco, thank you very much. Diallo, Mrs. Kenyatta especially, thank you. Geechee, thank you.
For sure.
And most of you in the chat, thank you as well. Peace if you willing to fight for it. We'll be back next week with EYL. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss all the other good stuff coming up later today throughout the weekend. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
You got to earn your liberation.